بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما وبعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدى هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. My respected brothers and sisters in Islam, it has been reported in the books of tafsir that once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to Ibrahim to give the adhan, the call which is the adhan for Hajj. So Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and told him, "Oh Allah, how will people hear me?" And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, "Upon you is to make the call, and upon me is to spread it around and spread it to the ears of people." And so he gave the adhan for Hajj, and he told the people that, "O mankind, upon you is Hajj to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You, O mankind, owe a visit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so therefore visit Him, meaning فَحُجُّوا." And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we know in the hadith, it mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam to spread in all parts of the world until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَأَذِّنْ فِي الْحَجِّ يَأْتُكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran that وَأَذِّنْ فِي الْحَجِّ, and give the call for Hajj. يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا, people will come on their feet, meaning walking. وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ, and upon every lean camel. يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ, they will come from every valley and every small gap in the world, basically meaning from every part of the world, from every valley, from every mountain pass, from every place in the world they will come. Wallahi, this issue of Hajj is truly amazing and truly important for us to realize, for those people who have done Hajj and those people who are still waiting to do Hajj. For verily, in Hajj is a great lesson for us, and in Hajj is a great is tremendous reward for us. First of all, I'm sure all of you realize that Hajj is from the 5 pillars of Islam. And when we talk about pillars of Islam, sometimes we don't think about what it truly means to be a pillar. What it means to be a pillar, brothers and sisters in Islam, is that if a person dies without doing Hajj and he had the opportunity of doing Hajj, that it just may be that he has died out of Islam, because even though he had the opportunity, he had the money, he had the time, yet he just didn't do it. It just may be that he was not a Muslim. Why? Because Islam is built on 5 pillars. So if you don't look after one pillar, then of course the foundation will break and crack and fall. And so therefore it is for this reason why it was reported that Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to take jizya from those people who had the opportunity of going for Hajj and didn't go. He used to take jizya from them, meaning what? Meaning that they had not become, they ceased to remain Muslimin. This is an important point, that Hajj is truly, truly important. And that is why, that is the significance of it being a pillar of Islam. Also, brothers and sisters in Islam, Amr ibn al-As, when he was accepting Islam, and the companion of Rasulullah Amr ibn al-As, when he was accepting Islam, he came to Rasulullah and he gave his hand to Rasulullah in acceptance of Hajj, in acceptance of Islam. And Rasulullah was taking his hand. At that time, Amr, he moved his hand away. He moved his hand away. This is an authentic hadith in Muslim. And Rasulullah said, "Ya Amr, what's wrong?" And Amr said, "Oh Rasulullah, I want to make a condition on you." And say, "What is that condition?" "That Allah forgives all my sins." So Rasulullah smiled and said, "Ya Amr, don't you know? Look at that. They were accepting Islam without even knowing that Allah forgives their sins. They were accepting Islam just from the pure joy and the pure beauty of Islam. And so, don't you know, O Amr, that Islam removes all sins, and also Hajj removes all sins, as Rasulullah told him?" And so Amr became happy and he accepted Islam. So the shahid in this hadith is that Rasulullah ﷺ said that just like Islam removes all past sins, in the same way Hajj removes all past sins. Meaning that when you want to renew your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you have spent a lifetime of sinning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you want to renew your tawheed, and it is as if you're accepting Islam again. If you want me to advise you with that action, which will be equal to you accepting Islam all over again, then do Hajj. Do Hajj, for verily it removes all past sins. And that is why Rasulullah ﷺ had said in a authentic hadith, man hajja, whoever does Hajj, falam yarfuth walam yafsuq, whoever does Hajj and he doesn't do rafath wala fusuq. What does rafath mean? Rafath means sexual intercourse. He doesn't have any relationship with women, and of course anything that leads to that, such as looking at them, such as having business, marriage contracts with them, such as touching them with pleasure, etc., touching your wife with pleasure, etc. Anything which may be I don't know why my brother is smiling at me, but I don't know. I think marriage makes people smile, mashallah. It's a smiley topic, isn't it? Okay. And anyone who does these things, and he is in danger of his Hajj not being acceptable. But anyone who doesn't do these things, meaning a Hajj in which there is no rafath, there is no sexual intercourse and anything that leads onto it, wala fusuq, and there is no evil deeds, meaning that there is no filthy actions being done, like for example argumentation, like for example hitting people, like for example stealing from people, like for example the worst of fisk, the worst of filthy things is shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the least of it may be, for example, even giving your brother a bad look. And anyone who doesn't do these fisk and stays away from these two things, رَجَعَ كَيَوْمِ وَلَدَتُ أُمُّهُ. He comes back just like the day in which his mother gave birth to him, meaning pure from sin, completely white. Has anyone seen a baby that is ugly? Have you ever seen a baby that's ugly? No. All babies are beautiful, aren't they? They have this radiant light in their face. Do you know why that is the case? That is because they are pure from sins. They are pure. They have no sin written on them. And then when people grow up, you see this cloudy dust on their face. You see this gloomy look on their face until the time of death, when you see them in the most gloomiest of states. And that is because their hearts have got a cover on it. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, كَلَّا بَلْ رَانَ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ مِمَّا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. As Allah says in the Quran, that rather, رَانَ عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ, ar-ran, which is like a covering has been put on their hearts because of what they used to earn. And of course, as you know, the hadith of Rasulullah, if there is a piece of flesh in your body, if it becomes pure, then the whole body is pure. And if that piece of flesh becomes bad, then the whole body is bad. Allah wa hiya al-qalb, is not anything but the heart. So if the heart has been covered up, then truly the limbs will also show that ugliness, and also show the fact that your heart is covered up. So this is how Hajj will remove all these filthy things as well. Rasulullah had also told us that Hajj is one of the most is one of the best deeds that a person can do. In fact, in authentic hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, a man came to Rasulullah and said, Rasulullah, what is the best of deeds? So Rasulullah said, it is that you believe in Allah and His Prophet. And then he said, okay, then what after that? Then he said, it is to struggle and do jihad in the cause of Allah. And then he said, then what is it after that? And he said, Al-Hajj al-Mabrur, an acceptable Hajj. An acceptable Hajj. And he also, important thing that brothers, we need to realize that Hajj is the pinnacle of the best days of the year. The best days of the year are 10, and these days are the 10 days of the Hijjah. And Hajj, which is one of the best deeds, is done in the best days of the year. So truly, to do the best deeds in the best days of the year has tremendous reward. That is why Al-Hajj al-Mabrur, لَيْسَ لَهُ جَزَاءٌ إِلَّا الْجَنَّةِ. That is why an acceptable Hajj, there is no reward for it except Jannah. I know sometimes people think, okay, wallahi, if I go for Hajj, I don't have enough money. How am I going to afford £2,000 now to go for Hajj and then spending money on this and that? If you think about it, brothers and sisters in Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had said, whoever wants Allah to increase his money, then let him do Hajj. You want money, do Hajj. Don't be silly. Whenever you do business, you're going to have to invest a little bit. And this £2,000 is your investment. And Allah has guaranteed that He'll give it back. And wallahi, for the last 6 years I've been doing Hajj, never has a single year passed except that I have seen Allah increase me in my provisions. after Hajj. And of course, I'll spend some money in Hajj. Yet 10 times or 20 times more would come to me after Hajj. Wallahi, I've seen this in myself. And what about you? You will definitely also see this in yourself. If your Hajj is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, truly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will increase the wealth of the money that you have put in, and He will give you back in this life before the next. Also, brothers and sisters in Islam, Hajj includes the best day of the year, and that is the day of Arafat. That is the day in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as Rasulullah had said, He does not free people from the fire of hell in any day more than in the day of Hajj, than on the day of Arafat. And we know also that Rasulullah had said that the best dua that a person can ever make is on the day of Arafat. And the best dua that a person can make is a dua of the Prophets. And what is the dua of the Prophets? Does anyone know? What is the dua of the Prophets? لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. This is the best dua. Meaning the dua of Tawheed is the best dua that a person can ever make on the day of Arafat, the best day of the year, and the best place that you can ever be. Also, one thing that we must realize, brothers and sisters in Islam, the worst of people who stand on the plains of Arafat are those people who think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive them. The worst of people that stand on the plains of Arafat, the worst of Hujjaj, are not those people who are committing sins. No, they are the worst of people are those who think that Allah will not forgive them. Because don't you see, Arafat is a day of mercy. On that day, the angels rise up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah boasts to the angels, what are my slaves asking for? What are they doing? Of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, but He wishes to test the angels, to increase His praise. And so He says, they are praising you, Allah. They're asking you for your help, and they're asking you for your mercy and your forgiveness. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, as Rasulullah said in the authentic hadith in Bukhari, I make you my witness, as Allah tells the angels, I make you all my angels my witnesses, that I have forgiven them. That I have forgiven them. Brothers and sisters in Islam, our Hajj, and the Hajj that Rasulullah taught us, and the call of Ibrahim, the pristine call of Ibrahim was a Hajj that is pure from shirk, was a Hajj that is pure and unadulterated with the filthy practices of the disbelieving mushrikeen who used to do Hajj at that time. And in fact, Rasulullah when he sent Abu Bakr to do the first Hajj, and as you know, Hajj was made obligatory in the year, ulama have differences, was it in the 9th year or in the 10th year? The most correct is that it was in the 9th year. There's another opinion that says 6th year, that is a weak opinion. The most correct is that Hajj was made obligatory in the 9th year of Hijrah. So why didn't Rasulullah do Hajj in that year? The answer is because he was busy in the battles of fighting the cause of Allah, and that was even more important than Hajj. And so Rasulullah was busy in that. However, he still sent a group with Abu Bakr as a leader to do Hajj. In the 10th year, he did his Hajj. Of course, he is the one who led the Hajj. However, we notice one important thing about the Hajj of Rasulullah is that we notice that Rasulullah always tried to be different from the mushrikeen in the way Rasulullah did Hajj. And throughout the Hajj, Rasulullah showed how he was different from the mushrikeen. And I will give you some examples of how he was different from the mushrikeen throughout the Hajj, so that next time when you go for Hajj and you remember these acts that you're doing, know that you are not just doing it because of the Sunnah, but you're also doing it because you're different from the mushrikeen, and because the Hajj that you're doing is on the pristine call of Ibrahim, on the way that Ibrahim truly wanted the people to do Hajj, and the way Ibrahim truly did Hajj. That is firstly, that the mushrikeen did not used to do ramal, and ramal is running around the house, and that is the first three, tawaf, which is the 7. Okay. And that is in the tawaf, in the 7 circuits of the tawaf. Rasulullah as you know, in the first 3 circuits of the tawaf, he would run around the Kaaba in a hurried pace, in a jogging pace, in a hurried pace. And this is something that the mushrikeen did not used to do. And by the way, this ramal is only to be done in the tawaf al-qudum, which is on the beginning tawaf that you do. In the tawaf al-hajj, which someone does, which is after, for example, he has stoned and everything, on the day of Nahr, on the 10th day, which is the day of slaughtering, then of course in that tawaf there is no ramal, there is no running around the Kaaba. That is only walking, there is no running on that tawaf time. So therefore, the mushrikeen did not used to do ramal. and they did not used to run around the Kaaba. Second thing was that they did not used to do ittiba. Ittiba is showing the arm. And as you know, Rasul's sunnah was that the arm was to be shown. And Rasul told us to actually show our skin, our strength, and our biceps to them, to the mushrikeen, so that they know that we are powerful as well, we are strong. And just because we have left our beautiful clothing and our powerful armor, it doesn't mean that, because as you know in Ihram you can't carry armor, you shouldn't carry swords, of course, unless you have a reason to. Doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that we are weak, and so Rasulullah told the people to actually show the arm. Also, what they did not used to do, brothers and sisters in Islam, what they used to do was run around the Kaaba without clothes. And they used to come, the mushrikeen used to come from Yemen, and they would say that we are the mutawakkilun. We are the ones who have the true tawakkul. And what would they do? They would come to the Kaaba and then they would start begging from the people. Because they came without food, they came without clothing, they came without anything, and then they would do tawaf around the Kaaba without clothes on. And they call themselves what? They call themselves mutawakkilun. They are the ones who have tawakkul on Allah. It truly reminds you of some of the Sufiya, some of the extreme Sufis, who, for example, they think they have tawakkul by not even preparing for the ibadah, by not having provisions for their livelihood, and all they do is they say they're mutawakkilun and forget about the dunya and just do ibadah. Yet the ulama, when they said that they were mutawakkilun, they called them by another name. They called them muta'akilun instead of mutawakkilun. You know what muta'akilun means? It means the person who eats other people's food. So you're not mutawakkilun. They were truly not mutawakkilun. They were truly muta'akilun. All right. Also, brothers and sisters in Islam, they did not used to go to Arafat. The Quraysh and the Mushrikeen did not used to go to Arafat. They would stop at Muzdalifah. And they wouldn't go out because they used to say that we are a noble tribe. We are the Quraysh, and we would stop at Muzdalifah. Does anyone know why they would stop at Muzdalifah? Any ideas? Why do you think they could stop at Muzdalifah and not go to Arafat? And this is an important point here. I will be using this throughout my talks. Does anyone know? The answer is because Muzdalifah is the end of the haram of Makkah. You know the sacred sanctity of Makkah and the sacred boundary of Makkah? That it includes Makkah, includes Mina, includes Muzdalifah, and that's the boundary. So Arafat is actually outside the boundary of Makkah. Arafat is actually outside the boundary of Makkah. That is why you can actually, if you're not in Hajj, you can actually hunt animals there. And if you have, leaves, trees, you can actually pull the grass out, or you can take a leaf from the tree. Obviously, in Makkah, in the Haram, you're not allowed to do that. Even you can't even take the leaf out. You can't even pull a grass out because it's all haram. You can't cage an animal, whereas in Arafat you can, because it is outside the Haram of Makkah. And so that's why they would always stay in Muzdalifah. Why? Because they would say that we are a noble tribe, we are worthy of staying within the sanctity of the Haram, and then so they will not go out to Arafat even. Also, brothers and sisters in Islam, what they would, as for the mushrikeen that would come from other than Quraysh, and the mushrikeen from Yemen, for example, then they would go to Arafat. However, they would leave before the sunset, after the mid-noon. They would leave quite quickly, so they wouldn't stay until the sunset. So this is something as well that Rasulullah went against. Another thing that they would do as well is that they would stay in Muzdalifah until the sunrise. And Muzdalifah is the place where you spend the night after the day of Arafat. So if you want to picture it, it's like this is Makkah. If you say that this is Makkah, then this is Mina, about 5 kilometers or 7 kilometers. Then you have Muzdalifah, which is about 10 kilometers from Mina, or 5-10 kilometers, or it's just next to, obviously, they're all bounding each other, bounding each other, but I'm just talking about the middle point of Mina until the middle point of Muzdalifah. Then that is the boundary of the Haram. Then you have Arafat, which is about 10 kilometers away from Muzdalifah, 5 to 7 kilometers or 10 kilometers away from Muzdalifah, and that is Arafat. And so the mushrikeen, in the night of Muzdalifah, they would stay in Muzdalifah, and then they would get up in the morning, and then they would make all their talbiyah that they used to do, and then leave only after sunrise. So Rasulullah went against them, and so he left before sunrise. Also, what the mushrikeen used to do in the days of Mina, and these are days in which the people, this is after the day of slaughtering, so after you have slaughtered and after you have shaved your head and etc. and worn your clothes, etc., people would stay in Mina for another 2 days. And what the mushrikeen used to do is that they would stay in Mina and all they would do is praise their forefathers. They would compete with one another to praise their forefathers. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that in Mina we shouldn't do that. Rather what we should do, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. So remember Allah like the remembrance of those people, their fathers, or, meaning the mushrikeen, how they used to remember their fathers, how they was always remembering and so competing with one another to mention how great their fathers were. Rather you should remember, so in the same way as they were doing that, you should do Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the same way, in the same amount of energy that we're expending, and the time they're expending in praising Allah, in the same way you should praise Allah. أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا, or even more than that. Or even more than that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us what dua to say. And then He said, فَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا فَمَا لَهُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنْ خَلَاقٍ وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. And this is the best dua to make as well. When you are in Arafat and you're eating the food that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided you because you've slaughtered all the animals, and this is the best time, and this is the best dua to make at that point as well. Okay. Another way that the mushrikeen were different from the Muslimin was that in their talbiyah, they used to make shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They would say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. They would say, Labbaik, Labbaik la sharika lak, illa sharikan huwa lak, tamlikuka wa malak, as they used to say. They would say, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, oh Allah, I answer your call. I answer, right? Labbaik la sharika lak, labbaik, I answer your call, there is no partners to you. Illa sharikan huwa lak, except for one person or one deity who is a partner, who we associate in partners with you, and he has everything that you do. Just like you own everything, he also owns everything too. And this is their talbiyah, subhanAllah. Whereas the talbiyah of the Muslimin is what? لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. جيد. Let's move on to brothers and sisters in Islam. What was the true secret of the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam? What is the secret behind Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asking us to leave our lands and go over to this barren land and do Hajj? What is the true secret? If you think about it, brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has only asked us to do it only once and obligated it upon us only once. And so Hajj is only obligatory once in a lifetime. Everything else is extra. And in the same way as we leave our lands and we go to a foreign land, a barren land, a land that doesn't have any vegetation, a land that nothing grows in the same way shall we leave our world and our livelihood, and we shall go into the grave, into a place in which nothing else grows except, nothing else grows. It's a barren place under the earth. And in the same way as you leave your clothing and you leave your family and you say salam to them and you say goodbye to them and you leave your people and you leave your clothing and the essence of your livelihood, in the same way shall you also go into to your grave, leave all your clothing, leave all your family, and go into the bottom of the earth, into the stomach of the earth. This is one of the wisdoms of Hajj. But if you look at it, Hajj itself is full of tremendous wisdom. Because Hajj means, a Hajj in Islam, the word Hajj in Arabic means a visit. So, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, and upon mankind is a visit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for he who is able to. We understand that the Hajj is truly a visit to Allah. Okay? So let's picture Hajj to be a visit to Allah. Just like, for example, we visit the kings and queens of this world, so to imagine Hajj to be a visit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the first and the most important thing that we start off with, the most important thing that we start off our Hajj with is the day of Arafat. Because everything else before it is minor compared to the Arafat. And that is the major day. As Rasulullah said, Al-Hajj Arafat. The Hajj is truly Arafat. And that is truly when the Hajj starts. So when you're in Arafat, remember what I said. Arafat was it inside the Haram or outside the Haram? Outside the Haram. So imagine as if there are huge walls on the gates of the Haram. On the gates of the Haram are huge heavenly walls. protecting the castle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a sacred Makkah. And you are outside in this barren land, in the lands of Arafat. And the barren lands of Arafat, and you are there from the sunrise, or you reach there from whatever time, from mid-noon until the afternoon, until sunset, and you are sitting there, and you are sitting and making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with your hands raised up. Imagine the hadi of Rasulullah, the guidance of Rasulullah was that he had his hands raised up so much until some of the ulama used to think that the sunnah of Rasulullah was that he would point his hands down. But as Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah mentioned that no, the case was that Rasulullah had his hands so much in the sky, right, so high up in the sky, that some people thought that his palms were pointing down, mistakenly. But the reality, fact of the matter is, Rasulullah wasn't making dua like this as people do, or like that, or like that, or like this. No, he was up like this, begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout the stay in Arafat, begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as you know, he was sitting on his camel throughout. He wasn't standing. Why sitting on a camel? So that he had the ability to actually put up his hands. As you know, standing throughout the time is quite difficult. So he sat on the riding beast, and that is why it's sunnah to actually sit on your riding beast, or sit in the bus, for example, sit in your car and make dua. And notice this as well, brothers and sisters in Islam. When the reins from the camel, when the ropes of the camel fell from the hands of Rasulullah, when it fell from his hands, when he had raised it up so high, he didn't put both hands down to get it. Rather, he took only one hand, and then he lifted up, and then he put his hands back to where it was, just to show you how much dua that Rasulullah was making, and how he was truly making use of every single minute of being in Arafat. And if you think about it, what is the significance? What is the true secret behind it? The secret behind it, brothers and sisters in Islam, is like the poor people, the beggars, outside the gates of a great king. Outside the gates of a great king, begging Allah without any clothes, with their two towels wrapped around their bodies, with disheveled hair, with dust and grot in their hair, making dua to Allah throughout, imploring Him to open the gates of His mercy to him. This is the beauty and the secret of Hajj. Can you imagine this? This is the significance of staying in Arafat. And that is why Rasulullah also joined up his Dhuhr and Asr, and he prayed it at the time of Dhuhr. And he prayed them at 2 rak'ahs, and he joined them together, so that he had enough time, and he would spend all his time in making ibadah, making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and dua is ibadah in itself. Thereafter, after the sun sets, it is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has answered the dua. It is as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has answered the dua of the people. As we know that this is the case, that a person does not leave Arafat, a person whose Hajj will inshallah be accepted does not leave Arafat, except that Allah has forgiven him. Except that Allah has forgiven him. And the worst of those people are those who think that Allah will not forgive him. Because this is the person who doesn't want Allah's gates to open, isn't it? This is the person who doesn't want the gates of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open. And can you therefore understand the gravity of the situation if a person leaves before the sunset? He truly hasn't waited for the forgiveness to come down to him from the 7 heavens. And thereafter, the gates of mercy are open, and so you pass into Muzdalifah. Now imagine the gates are open, now you pass into Muzdalifah. Remember, Muzdalifah is the outer boundary of the haram. So you are now in Muzdalifah. And what way do you wish to meet the king except by taking rest first? You have had a terrible day, a day of worshipping Allah, a day of beseeching Him for mercy, and so you are tired. And so Rasulullah's hadith was that he would reach Muzdalifah, and then he would join his prayers, make an adhan, pray his maghrib, then make the iqamah, and then pray his Isha as well, and thereafter pray his witr, and then he would go to sleep. Most correct opinion is that he did pray his witr, and then he would go to sleep. And his sunnah was not that he would stand up that night in prayer, in tahajjud. Rather, his sunnah was that he would go to sleep. Muzdalifah is from the word in Arabic called izdalafa. Izdalafa means to come near. To come near. So Muzdalifah and your mabit and your living in Muzdalifah means that you have come near to Allah. That you have entered into the haram. Allah's gates of mercy has been opened up to you, and now you are in the haram or you are inside the haram, and you are in a place which is close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. and now you are resting before the day in which you will visit the great king. And so the sun rises up. When the sun rises up, Rasulullah would get up, make wudu, he would pray, and thereafter he would he would praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until it had become reddened. The sky had become reddened and an orangey color, meaning the sun was about to come up. Thereafter he would move on. Then, the best way, brothers and sisters in Islam, that one should approach a king and meet a king is to make sure that the king knows that anyone who is the enemy of the king, you don't like him. True or not? And the first thing that you do, first of all, when you want to visit a king, you want to give him a gift. True or not? Also, you want to make sure that the king knows that anyone who is the enemy of the king, you hate him. And also, you want to go to the king in the most humblest of states, humbling yourself in the most amazing ways. How can we physically humble ourselves? Not just our hearts are truly humble, but how can we physically humble ourselves? And this is why the 10th day, is a day in which we prepare ourselves to go visit the king. And so that's why Rasulullah would start off with Jamrat al-Aqaba, the main stoning. And you know the stoning, the secret of it is that Ibrahim a.s., he had stoned the devil. However, of course, these stones are not devils. The devil is not inside them as most people believe, but it is only a symbolic expression of our same hatred for the shaitan and a same willingness to hit the shaitan as well, and showing our disbelief in the shaitan. You see, the whole of the experience of Hajj is truly just to live up to the greatness of Allah, is to witness the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to witness Tawheed. And so, what better way to go visit the king except after making sure the king knows that you don't like his enemies. And so the first thing Rasulullah would start off the day with is, he would stone. So he would stone the Jamrat al-Aqaba, which is the main stone, which is the last of the three stones to be stoned. Jamrat al-Aqaba is the main and the last of the three, the one that is closest to Makkah. Thereafter, what would Rasulullah do? After the Rami, he would slaughter. So he would sacrifice. So after he has made sure that he had stoned and the king knows that he hates the enemies of the king, then he offers Allah a gift. He offers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a sacrifice. And this is the secret of why we sacrifice, because it is like we are offering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a small sacrifice, for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us a huge reward. Don't you take a small gift when you go visit the king? Even the beggars, they take something small, a small pebble that they found or whatever, something small that they have, because they would want something bigger in return. So it is like a small gift to give to Allah. And Allah says in the Quran, لَن تَنَالُوا اللَّهَ لُحُومُهَا وَلَا دِمَاؤُهَا وَلَكِنْ يَنَالُهُ الْبِرَّ التَّقْوَى مِنْكُمْ, as Allah says in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to eat Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to benefit from the dead animals, from the carcasses and their meat and their bones. No, Allah is not going to benefit from that. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only tests you for your taqwa. Meaning the greatest gift that we're giving through our sacrifice is the taqwa that we're offering to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our fear of Allah, our glorification of Allah that we offer Allah through our sacrifice. So this is the second thing Rasulullah did. Then we want to prepare ourselves. We want to prepare ourselves for visiting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we want to humble ourselves in front of Him. How do we humble ourselves? That's why Rasulullah would shave his head. Shave his head. Why would he shave his head? Because the Arabs at that time, they used to love big hair, long hair. And this would be a sign of their pride, and a sign of their glory, sign of their authority, sign of their rujula, of their manhood. And so what better way to humble a slave, to humble himself in front of a great king, than to show that he has no hair on his head. And truly this is not only in Islam, but this is also found in other religions. As you know, for example, the Buddhists, for example, that's what they do. They shave their heads, for example, in the Chinese culture. In the Chinese, when they used to go visit the kings, they would shave their heads. And when the king would want to punish someone and lower his honor, he would punish him by ordering his head to be shaved. True or not? So it's a sign. It's a sign that truly, that not only in Islam, but also in amongst mankind, this is a shaving of the head is a sign of humbleness. So the third thing that will be done is the head will be shaved. So mashallah, you have stoned the devil, you have shown your takfir of shaitan, you have shown your disbelief in the shaitan, and you have slaughtered and given Allah a gift, or offered Allah a sacrifice, offered Allah a gift, and you prepared yourself to meet Allah, and now you take your shower. So you take your shower, and you come out of your ihram, and you have come out of your ihram, and now because you have come out of your ihram, you have a shower and you put on beautiful perfume, because you don't want to go and visit the king in a dirty manner. No. You go and visit the king in a nice manner, in a clean manner, in a beautiful way, in a perfumed way. And this is why you have a shower and you put on your beautiful clothes again that Allah has already provided for you, and then you make your way to Mecca in order to visit the king. You are now visiting Al-Makkah, which is Al-Makkah. Al-Makkah, which is true word for Makkah. Now you're visiting Makkah, and then you do your visit of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is you visiting His house. When you're visiting the house, this is as symbolic as visiting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. So you visit Him and you go around His house in the most tranquil manner, 7 circuits, and thereafter you run between the Safa and Marwa, completing your Hajj. Completing the obligatory things of your the pillars of your Hajj, because pillars of Hajj are 4. That is your ihram, that is your Arafat, and that which is your tawaf al-Hajj, and your sa'i. And so alhamdulillah, with that you have completed your visit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then you return back to where do you spend the night, guys? You spend it in Mina. You come back after that day, you come back to Mina. What is the significance of Mina? Mina comes from the word Muna. Muna means hope. Muna means hope. The hope of the heart that Allah has accepted your visit. The hope of the heart, the yearning of the heart, that hoping that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed your visit, has accepted your visit, has accepted your sacrifice, has accepted your Hajj, and so purified you, and has accepted you from amongst His noble slaves, and has rewarded you with a Jannah in this life and the hereafter. Jannah in this life, which is the love of Islam, and Jannah of the hereafter, which is the true paradise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for His slaves. And this is the true secret. And so you stay in Mina for how many days? 2-3 days. What do you do there? You eat of the meat that you have sacrificed. You eat from the sacrifices that Allah has provided for you. And this is what Rasulullah had said. Ayyamu tashriq. These are the days of the tashriq. These are days of eating and drinking and praising Allah. These are days of eating and drinking and praising Allah. Meaning now you are happy. You have visited Allah. Now Allah wants to give you a gift. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you to rest in His palace. So you stay in the haram, and you don't have to go to Arafat anymore. Remember, you're inside His kingdom now. You are inside His castle. So you're staying within His castle in Mina, and you're staying there for a couple of days, happy and hoping for Allah's grace and Allah's mercy, hoping that Allah will give you the great ajr very, very soon. And thereafter, it's time to leave. And before that, what is the significance of you stoning every single day? The significance is La ilaha illallah. Don't you see how La ilaha illallah is made up of 2 parts? It's made up of denial and then acceptance. It's made up of first negation and then affirmation. What is the negation? That there is no deity worthy of worship. And what is the affirmation? It is accept Allah. So in the same way as we need to live our life, and whenever we express our tawheed, we always need to show that we disbelieve in shirk and then believe in Allah, believe in tawheed. In the same way, every single day that we are there, we need to show our disbelief in the shaitan and our belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Truly wonderful. If you think about the wisdom of Hajj, truly this is the experience of a lifetime, the experience of tawheed, a journey in exploring the vastness of tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And so we come to the last day of Hajj, and you have just left Mina now. You've stayed 2 days, and now you need to go back. You need to go back to your family. And we come to the last tawaf. Why do you need to visit Allah again? Because it is from the adab, from the manners, that the last thing you visit is the most important thing. And that you don't visit anyone else after that. Because as you know, you always visit, for example, when you're at the airport, and you want to, and all your family is there. Who is the last person you want to touch and kiss? It's the one probably you love most. Perhaps your children, isn't it? Your children, you want to hug them last, and then after that, go away. So you start off with the people who are not so close to you, and then you get at the end, you end up with the person truly close to you, truly beloved to you, and truly honored to you, isn't it? And that is the same way. We meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again, we visit His house again, and then we leave without stopping at all. We don't pray anymore in Mecca. We don't stop to do anything more in Mecca. We just leave the kingdom straight away, hoping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted our Hajj. And truly this is the secret of Hajj. This is the secret of Hajj. And this is the beauty of the call of Ibrahim alayhi salam, the call for mankind to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a journey of tawheed, in a journey of exploring the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanalaka Allahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. We will stop here. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we have a talk today on the secrets to a successful Hajj. Wallahi, there are millions of people who are doing Hajj. However, if you think about it, how many of them truly has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their Hajj? And it would be a great disaster and a great regret and cause of great regret if we went all the way to Mecca, we spent so much money and time, and the hope that someone has in his heart it will be dashed truly if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept our Hajj. So one must try and understand and look after the secrets in order to make sure that his Hajj is truly accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are certain essential things, if you think about it, which are truly essential in order for you to make sure that your Hajj is acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, you're going to be preparing with medication and with band-aids and all of that, but truly, the true preparation that you need for Hajj is the knowledge and purification of your soul. And this is the talk today that we have on the secrets to a successful Hajj. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had said, ثلاثٌ, there are three people who are in the domain of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are under the guarantee of the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These three people are, Rasulullah mentioned, is the person who does the Umrah, the person who does the Hajj, and the person who is struggling because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Mujahid who is struggling because of Allah. So Rasulullah mentioned that the person who does Hajj is from the domain of Allah, has a protection and guarantee of protection from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you think about it, what could be the reason for that? The only reason could be is that the person who is doing Hajj is from the wafd of Allah. He is from the guests of Allah, as Rasulullah said in another authentic hadith in Ibn Majah, that the guests of Allah are two, and they are the Hajj, the person who does Hajj, and the Mujahid, the person who is struggling because of Allah. So they are the guests of Allah. They are struggling and fighting and running towards Allah. And so they are truly the ones who are the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also rewards them by giving them His guarantee. What is the guarantee that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives? The guarantee that He gives is that Allah will accept your Hajj if you truly do it correctly. The guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the paradise if you truly do your Hajj correctly. The guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give back the money that you have spent for going for Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give that money back to you and provide for you. And He will provide for you during Hajj just like He provides for you in other than Hajj. This is a guarantee of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثلاثٌ في ضمان الله. Three are in the guarantee of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the Hajj, the person who's doing Hajj, is from the people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has undertaken to be His protector. There are certain secrets to make sure that your Hajj is successful, brothers and sisters in Islam. And wallahi, if we talk about it all the time, and that is ikhlas, if we talk about ikhlas all the time, even then, brothers and sisters in Islam, we would be deficient in it. Because as Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah had mentioned, مَا عَلَجْتُ شَيْئًا أَشُدُّ عَلَيْهِ نِيَّتِي. I have not tried to fix and cure anything that is more severe upon me than my intention. And this is Sufyan al-Thawri. This is one of the greatest ulama of Islam. One of the great Jahabis and one of the great scholars, one of the great heroes of this religion. He is the one saying this. Then what do you think about us? That is why sometimes we find groups going for Hajj with their t-shirts saying Hajj Mabrur. Or for example, after they come back from Hajj, they say Haji, Ya Haji, huh? Ya Haji. And now, mashallah, instead of calling ourselves this and that, Mr. this and that. We say, no, I am a Hajj. Call me a Hajj. Yani, subhanAllah, people have forgotten the matter of ikhlas. And yet Rasulullah ﷺ, when he made talbiyah, when he made his intention at the miqat, he said, Allahumma hajjan la ri'a fiha wa la sum'a. Oh Allah, for you is a hajj. There is no riyah, there is no pride in my heart when I'm saying this, when I'm doing this action. Wa la sum'a, neither do I want people to speak about it. Neither do I want people to remember me for it. Now ya akhi, the Hajj you are doing is proclaiming the unity, the tawheed of Allah. Why do you wish to forget ikhlas at this most essential part of your journey? At the most essential part of your ibadah, you wish to forget ikhlas? No, rather the Hajj is not so that we can come and tell people, I am a Hajj, I am someone who has done Hajj 10 times, 20 times. No, no, no. It is because we're doing it purely because we love to visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We love to be from those people who Allah's guarantee befalls upon. We love to be of those people who visit Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sanctity and His kingdom. Without doubt, brothers and sisters in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us many times in the Quran and Sunnah, and He orders us many times in the Quran. He tells us, وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. They have not been commanded except with one thing. What is that? لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ, to worship Allah, مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. In sincerity, for Him is the religion. In sincerity, for Him is the religion. And He also tells the best of mankind, the prophets, to say, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي, verily my prayers, وَنُسُكِي, and my sacrifice. What is He talking about? He's saying the prayer and sacrifice in Hajj time as well. The sacrifice, that is especially what is done during Hajj. Say my prayers and my sacrifice, وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي, my living and my dying, بِاللَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ, for Allah, the Lord of creation. لَا شَرِيكَ لَهُ, there is no partners to Him. وَبِذَلِكَ أُمِرْتُ, and with that I have been commanded. وَأَنَا أَوَّلُ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, and I am the first of those who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first of those who call ourselves Muslims. And this is why, brothers and sisters in Islam, the matter of tawheed, the matter of ikhlas, is always exemplified in our Hajj, throughout our Hajj. In fact, all the way up until we stone the Jamrat al-Aqaba, we keep saying what? Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. We keep saying, Allah, we answer your call to you, or Allah, answer your call. And then we say, Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. Labbaik, we answer your call, O Allah, that we do not associate anyone in partners with you. And you know, the whole talbiyah is all about witnessing the ikhlas and the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and reminding yourself of this ikhlas. The second advice, the second secret, the first is the sincerity. The second secret to a successful Hajj, brothers and sisters in Islam, is the taqwa in the heart. Is the taqwa, preparing yourself mentally with fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you're doing this Hajj truly, you're only getting one chance. And you're doing this for the sake of Allah. Wallahi, when you see the Hujjaj coming from India and Indonesia and Pakistan and all of that, people who have been saving every single rupiah for their life, they have been saving a rupee for every single day that they have lived. And then suddenly, once in their lifetime, they are given a chance to go. Wallahi, I remember Shaykh Abdul Rahman Ad-Duwaish in one of his notes, one of his lectures regarding Hajj, he was mentioning how he was present at the airport, and he was looking upon a bunch of Hujjaj that were coming down from the plane. And then from those people who came down from the plane was an old and feeble lady. She came down from the plane and she saw that this is the holy lands, and so she bent down to kiss the ground. So she bent down prostration to Makkah, and she kissed the ground, and she was never to raise up from that again. She had died. Na'am, wallahi, this is an amazing event, isn't it? Truly amazing event. Truly they have come for the journey of their lifetime. Truly they have come with taqwa in their hearts. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes to take them, wishes to hurry up their ajr. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken the life of this woman away. This is why, brothers and sisters in Islam, the best preparation, وَتَزَوَّدُوا, prepare. Alhamdulillah, prepare. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to prepare. Take your money, take your cards, take your band-aids, take your extra medicines, mashallah. Some of the Hujjaj, I see them, mashallah, they have a pharmacy with them. A pharmacy, every single thing that they can think of, a band-aid for this, a band-aid for that, and a medicine for this and a medicine for that, and subhanAllah, anything they can think of, they have. And two or three different types of it as well. La ilaha illallah. And they have so truly prepared. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. Prepare for this Hajj. However, know that the best of Hajj, the best of provisions, the best way that you can prepare for this Hajj is with your taqwa, is with your fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your hearts. My brothers and sisters in Islam, we must not forget that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not accept Hajj from anybody. He doesn't want to accept Hajj from anybody. He wants to accept only for one type of person. And that is the muttaqeen. As Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Verily Allah only accepts from the righteous ones. Don't you see how this verse was revealed regarding two sons of Adam alayhi salam? Two sons of Adam alayhi salam. And the two sons of Adam alayhi salam, one of them offered a sacrifice and the other one also offered a sacrifice. And the lightning came down from the sky and burnt up the sacrifice of one of them. And the other one, Abel's one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted. Whereas Cain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not accept. And the lightning did not come down from the sky and consume his sacrifice, because at that time this was, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to show how directly whether he accepted someone's ibadah or not by truly showing it to him straight away. And so nothing happened. His sacrifice was not accepted. What did Abel tell him? He said, إِنَّمَا يَتَقَبَّلُ اللَّهُ مِنَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. Verily, the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted mine and not yours is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only accepts from the muttaqeen. Inshallah. So my kids were here, they would be, no understand. Okay. Where were we, guys? Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only accepts from the muttaqeen. And then Cain got angry. And let's go back to the issue. And that issue was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted Abel's sacrifice and didn't accept Cain's sacrifice. And we see over here that this is a matter of sacrifice. It is a matter of sacrifice that we are going to do in Hajj as well. And so this verse is even more pertinent to Hajj. Even more pertinent, isn't it? Because it is truly regarding a part of Hajj, that is a sacrifice. And so you must remember, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will only accept from the muttaqeen, from those people who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahi, I have seen brothers who come for Hajj and they are so rich and they are having difficulty taking some time out for Hajj, and they come there and they are haughty and proud, and they come there and they have the greatest blessings. They are doing a 5-star Hajj in the best of packages, best of hotels, yet they just can't be bothered. It's like they can't be bothered. Can you, brother Thowfeek, because I was going with them, can you just do my stoning for me? I said, it's not permissible. I said, I just can't be bothered, man. It's just blood and guts everywhere, sweat and heat. I can't be bothered, subhanAllah. Where is the taqwa in the hearts? Truly, people don't have this taqwa in the hearts. And when you go for the tawaf, and you have a million people trying to do tawaf, then you see the true taqwa. Because people are shoving, and people are shouting, and people are screaming at each other, and people are throwing and pushing and shoving, subhanAllah. We've forgotten taqwa in our Hajj. We have forgotten fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Hajj. Even the most basic things, such as, for example, when a person asks you for money in Hajj, as we know, there are so many thieves out there. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's advice in the Quran is never to say no. Never to say no. All our brothers over here, mashallah, we have enough money. Why don't we just take 10 pounds, convert that into Saudi riyals, keep them in riyals, 1 riyal notes. Whenever you see a beggar, give him one and then run away before the other beggars catch you. Because if they catch you, then you're finished. Right? But never say no. If a beggar comes up to you, never say no. And this is very, very important. Very, very important. For us to have taqwa, for us to have this fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our hearts is always very, very important. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said, التقوى رأس كل شيء. He had said in authentic hadith, and this is in Ibn Majah, that taqwa is the head of all affairs. It is the head of all affairs. Taqwa is the head of all affairs. He also said, he was also once asked, Ya Rasulullah, what is that thing? What is the thing that most enters people into Jannah? What is the reason for which most people will enter Jannah? And Rasulullah had said, At-taqwa wa husnul khuluq. He said, taqwa and good manners. The most things that enter someone into Jannah is taqwa and husnul khuluq. Brothers and sisters in Islam, wallahi, once we came across a very beautiful narration, and that is narration which is in At-Tabarani, And it quotes that when Rasulullah was making talbiyah, the companions would see the tears streaming down the face of Rasulullah. Meaning Rasulullah was truly, when he was saying the words, he truly felt it in his heart. It truly affected him. He truly felt the words of the talbiyah, every single word that he was saying. Truly it was affecting his soul. It was feeding his soul with taqwa and fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So his eyes were flooded with tears. And wallahi, whenever you try and do the talbiyah and you think about it, does it really truly touch us? Many a time it doesn't truly touch us. We just compete with one another to be the loudest in saying the talbiyah. Yet we don't say the talbiyah truly thinking about its meaning. And this is an advice to us, that is to constantly remind ourselves of the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the talbiyah. Without doubt, brothers and sisters in Islam, we go to Hajj and we have a blackened heart. We go to Hajj and we have our heart blackened with sins. And we see that the effects of these sins are many. It may be, as Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah had said, that أذنبت, he said, I did a sin, فحرمت قيام الليل 5 أشهر. I did a sin and I was forbidden by Allah from praying the night prayer for 5 months. Meaning for a sin that he did, he could not pray for 5 months, the Qiyam al-Layl. And truly there is wisdom in that. And that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you do a sin, He will not only stop the provisions of this world coming to you, He will also stop you from being guided. And He will stop you from guidance. So truly when you go for Hajj, you must stop sinning. All sorts of sinning. And it is amazing to find the people go to Hajj and they're still smoking, for example. It is amazing that they go to Hajj, for example, and they're still sitting and chatting with women and still having free mixing. It is amazing that they go for Hajj and all they do is just look at the women, because now they're not wearing niqab anymore. So just checking out the women, checking out the chicks, and this is what they do. And this is not right. This is dhunub, this is sins. The reason why we came to Hajj was not to increase in sins. It is to purify ourselves from the sins. Okay. The next important secret that one needs to know about having a successful Hajj is to remember the sacredness of Makkah. Is to remember that the place that you're going is truly a sacred place. So you need to look after the rights of Makkah upon you. Rasulullah ﷺ had said in authentic hadith, Inna hadha al-balad, verily this land, harramahu Allahu, yawma khalaqa as-samawati wal-ard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made this place sacred the day He had created the heavens and the earth. فَهُوَ حَرَامٌ بِحُرْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. So it is sacred by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala making it sacred until the day of judgment. And this is Makkah that you're going to. This is not London you're going to, brothers and sisters. It's not Bradford you're going to, where it's, where you can do what you want. No, this is Makkah that you're going to. It is an amazing place. It is about a place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran, وَمَنْ يُرِدْ فِيهِ بِإِلْحَادٍ يُذِقْهُ فِي عَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, it is a place about which if someone even desires ilhad, this word called ilhad, then we will set him alight in the fire of Jahannam. We will punish him, we will throw him, destroy him in the fire of Jahannam. What is ilhad? Ilhad is sinning. Ilhad is mail, is to turn away. Turn away from what? Turn away from the guidance. Turn away from the hadith of Rasulullah. So whether it be therefore bid'ah, whether it be, for example, shirk, whether it be sinning, but this is all under the terms of ilhad. Whether it be even a person swearing by Allah all the time, la wallah, la, wallah, wallah, wallah. As you know, Arabs do that all the time, unfortunately. Many cultures do that all the time. This is ilhad as well, as the companions also mentioned. To constantly swear by Allah for every small thing and every big thing and every little thing. Meaning that you don't give true importance to the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't give true importance to the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so you just swear using the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for every right or every wrong, for every truth or every falsehood. SubhanAllah, this is also from the ilhad. And even as the companions, as Rasulullah mentioned another authentic hadith in An-Nasa'i, even when the food is presented in front of you, that you should say, what is this food? This is also ilhad. This is also ilhad, to do ihtiqar of ta'am, as Rasulullah said. Ihtiqar of ta'am, or to look down the food, is ilhad. And wallahi, how many Hujjaj fall into it? How will you judge? Look at the brother, I paid so much money and all he gets me is Al Bake. I wanted something else. I wanted KFC, etc., etc. There are things like that. It's amazing how people are. It's amazing. And for the last couple of years, I've been going with a Hajj group, which is a 5-star Hajj. They charge more than £3,000 for a package, living in the best of places, and with their Mina camps close to, places close to Mina. Yet sometimes you find people, wallahi, truly ungrateful, and they look down at the food being presented. And the brothers, wallahi, they do their best. They are such dedicated brothers. We are so proud of them. Yet, subhanallah, when they provide the best of food, it's a 5-course dinner as well. It's like, subhanallah, you have meat brought in front of you, and they carve the meat of the bone to give you. And you have every different sorts of food. And what a Hajj! You do Hajj in style. You have mattresses this high, and the mattresses can be made into chairs. Wow, it's unbelievable. And the toilets are super-sized toilets. They're not normal. They're amazing things, guys. And yet we find people looking at the time saying, 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, the food is too cold, it's not nice enough, there should be salt, there should be more salt here. Any things like that, wallahi. And this is ilhad. This small statement is ilhad, brothers and sisters in Islam. وَمَنْ يُرِيدْ فِيهِ بِإِلْحَادٍ. Whoever even wants to do ilhad, even has the desire to do ilhad, then he will be punished in the fire of hell. It means, this ayah means, brothers and sisters in Islam, that truly you must remember that Makkah is a sacred place. You must not even desire to do haram. Even desiring to do haram can be a sin. Even desiring to do haram can be a sin. And remember, you are in the best of times, in the best of places, in the best of states. You are in the state of ihram of Hajj. Then therefore, when you are in the most the most sacred of places, the most sacred of times, in the most sacred of states, truly the sin of any sin that you do will also be tremendous. Just like the ajr of anything that you do will also be tremendous. In the same way, therefore, stealing something from the haram of Makkah is not the same as stealing from anywhere else. Doing a sin, having backbiting or lying, or telling off someone in Hajj, or pushing or shouting or screaming, etc., is not like doing that in London or down the road. No, it's not. It is of a different level, and this is the sacredness of Makkah that we're talking about. Also, we have the sacredness of Medina, and people will be going to Medina as well. And Makkah is a haram, and Medina is a haram as well. And Rasulullah ﷺ had made Medina haram, whereas Ibrahim had made Makkah a haram. And of course, before that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made Makkah a haram. The difference between the two harams is in numerous things, but the two most important things I will mention to you that is applicable to us. The first thing is that you cannot have caged animals. So you cannot cage up animals, you cannot trap an animal there. So if you find an animal like a pigeon and all that, and you want to trap it, you want to grab it, etc., no, you should not do that. You must let it go in both the places. Okay? In both the places. And that is in Makkah. Whereas in Medina, then you can have caged animals. You can have caged animals. In Medina, in Makkah, the second difference therefore, the first is that the caged animals permitted in Makkah, not permitted in Makkah, but permitted in Medina. The second thing is to do with picking grass, or lifting up a flower, for example. Where you're going to find flowers, but whatever, lifting, even pulling a leaf from the tree is not permissible in Makkah, whereas it is permissible in Medina. Okay, these are the two basic differences. There are other differences as well, but these are the two basic differences as far as we are concerned, that concerns us. Right? And so remember this, that Makkah is so sacred, you can't even think about doing haram. You can't even think about doing haram. And plus, I would like to also, at this point, draw an attention to some things that newly married brothers and sisters, as you know, the culture nowadays is, mashallah, because brothers and sisters are becoming religious and they get married young. The mahar usually is that they go for Hajj. Or if the mahar is not that they go for Hajj, then they say, okay, we want to go for Hajj quickly before the children come, isn't it? So they hurry up, and subhanAllah, we have many groups with newlyweds and our brothers and sisters still in the honeymoon. And when people are in the honeymoon, they can't keep their hands of each other. And this is a musibah, mushkila. They fall into haram all the time. They fall into haram. Remember, you are in the state of ihram. You are in a sacred place. You must not do anything, even to touch each other with passion. Even for you when you're grabbing your wife, for example, protecting her in tawaf, or you're protecting her in sa'i, or you're protecting her when going stoning, if you end up touching her and you have shahwa from that, you end up having shahwa, desire from that, there is a sacrifice due upon you, a slaughtering, a sheep. You can't just fast for that. We will come to that very, very soon. The next step will be running through all of this. But subhanAllah, this is very, very important. Be very, very careful. Alhamdulillah, it's not a Hajj that goes by. Unfortunately, that brothers come to me with all these problems, and we have to tell them, please do X Y, Z number of sacrifices because of what they have done. Allahu musta'an. Okay. The last thing, brothers and sisters in Islam, that I wanted to mention regarding the secrets to a successful Hajj is without doubt patience and dua and kindness. Patience and dua and kindness. Patience is truly the need of the hour when you go for Hajj. Truly you need to be patient. When the food is late, because roads are blocked, when you're waiting in the buses hours and hours going from Mecca to Medina, patience, you need to be patient. It is very easy to blow your ear top. Wallahi, who ever goes for Hajj, then let him remember the ayah of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Al-Hajj, whoever wants to do فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ لِلْحَجِّ, whoever wants to do Hajj, فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Then let him remember this ayah, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا رَفَث, and no sexual intercourse. Stay away from your wives, no touching her as well, no pleasure, not even crossing the road with her hand if that is going to cause you pleasure. Be careful, even a small thing of pleasure will obligate a sacrifice upon you. فَلَا رَفَث وَلَا فُسُوقَ, no evil things, no backbiting, no sinning, no haram, no thinking about the haram. Even thinking about the haram is a sin in Makkah, remember. فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ, and no arguments. No arguments. Why did you hit me? Brother, look out. What are you doing? And this, and it's very, very easy to fall into arguments in Hajj. Because people, for example, end up hitting you, or they end up hitting someone of your family. Just calm the people down. Calm the people down. Calm the people down. Patience is a call of the hour regarding Hajj, because nowadays, mashallah, so many people are doing Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Meaning that mankind is lost except if they believe and they do righteous deeds, and as far as others are concerned, they tell them to stick onto the truth, and they tell other people to have patience. And this is very, very important to remember in Hajj. You need to tell other people, not only be patient yourself, but also tell other people to have patience. You need to calm people down. Tell them when they have been wronged, they'll be screaming and shouting. You need to go up to them and calm them down. You need to do your part as well. Meaning that, don't forget, just because you're doing Hajj, don't forget al-amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy al-munkar. Don't forget to command the good and forbid the evil. Whilst you're there as well, if you see a woman with a niqab, wallahi, you know what? When I'm there in Hajj, I spend most of my time just telling people, women, take your niqabs off, and telling men, stop doing the haram, like stop smoking or doing this and that. Because people, Hajjaj, come with different problems, different colors. They come with different cultures. They come with different levels of knowledge. And, many of them, don't even know what is right. And of course, mashallah, they also do the amr bil ma'ruf wa nahy al-munkar with me as well. So when I'm doing my tawaf with my shoes, they tell me off as well, saying, brother, don't do your tawaf and your sa'i with your shoes on, even though inshallah it's permissible. Okay. Next important thing, brothers and sisters, to remember is kindness. Kindness is truly important in Hajj as well. You need to be kind to the people, kind to the beggars, kind to those people who are older than you. And most of the people who go for Hajj are people who are old, people who are pensioners, people who are perhaps very sick as well, and they want to do Hajj before they die. So kindness is truly, truly important. And as you know, some of the companions, they used to do Hajj with their mothers on their backs. They used to do Hajj with their mothers on their backs. So kindness is truly important, brothers and sisters in Islam. Also note the fact that people have been away from their families. Your wives and the daughters and the women have been away from the family, so they are mentally unstable, or mentally they are so broken. They're mentally so broken. So you need to always have kindness with them. As Rasulullah ﷺ had said, "Irham man fil ardi yarhamuka man fis sama." Have mercy upon the one that is on this earth, then the one who is above the seven heavens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will have mercy upon you. And also Rasulullah had said, Ar-Rahimuna yarhamuhumullah. Those people who have mercy upon other people, they are the ones who Allah has mercy done upon them. And the last thing today, brothers and sisters in Islam, is dua. Is that you don't forget dua. Making lots and lots and copious amounts of dua in Hajj. Truly your talbiyah is a dua, but then don't forget dua for Rasulullah. Don't forget dua for this ummah. Don't forget dua for those people who have died in the tsunami disaster. Don't forget people who are dying now because of the enemies of Islam attacking the lands of the Muslims. Don't forget making dua for them. Don't just remember yourself, but remember them as well. Dua is truly important. And what better day to make dua than on the day of Arafat? Then on the day of Arafat. Stay away from those people who all make dua in congregation. This is not required. Stay away from those people who tell you to make dua in a very beautiful way. And they're very eloquent in the dua, and they're crying all the time, really loudly on their microphones, trying to make other people cry. Stay away from these people. The dua that we're asking you for is the speech of your soul. Is you converting what is in your heart, in your tongue, and saying it out loud to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until it has been reported in an authentic narration, in a narration in some of the books of the Sunnah, that an Arab used to, that a man from Turkey came to do Hajj, and he saw the people on his left and the people on his right making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he himself is an Ajam, he's not an Arab, and he doesn't know how to make dua. So all he did was, oh Allah, give me everything what these people are asking for. And he reported that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his dua. And this is something, wallahi, we need to understand. That the dua that we are talking about is not the dua which is so eloquent in speech, that is so inspiring outwardly. No. It is not the one that rhymes and is so poetic. No, this is not the true dua. In fact, the ulama even mentioned this is makruh. In fact, they even mentioned this is makruh. Imagine this. That to be poetic in your dua is not something desirable. To be poetic in your dua is not desirable. Why? Because when you're poetic, you have to think about the words that you're going to say to make it poetic, isn't it? And that takes away from your relationship with Allah, with your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they discussed, how did Rasulullah, how come his dua were always so poetic? Well, that is not because he tried to make it poetic. He was already poetic. He was already eloquent. He already had beautiful speech. Not that he actually tried to beautify his speech or tried to make things rhymey and poetic. No. Rather, he was already like that. And so try, my brothers and sisters in Islam, and make sure that the dua that you make on the day of Arafat is a dua that comes from the bottom of your heart. Truly the language of your heart. And without doubt, Rasulullah ﷺ had mentioned to us that when you make dua in a time of difficulty and mashaqqa, in a time of travel and mashaqqa and difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will definitely accept the dua. And that is because you are in such a difficult state. You are in such a severe state. Like, for example, a woman in the time of giving birth. She is in a difficult state, and so the dua of that woman will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As you know as well, Rasulullah said that the dua of the mazlum, there is no hijab between it and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The dua of a person who has been wronged by people, so there is no hijab, no barrier between it and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the same way, why is that the case? Because he is being wronged, he is in a difficult state. In the same way, when you are in a difficult state, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that will be accepted. And with that, inshallah, these are the secrets truly to a successful Hajj. These are the true secrets to a successful Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Subhanallah Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. We will come back inshallah with about 5-10 minutes, and we will go through Hajj quickly, practically inshallah, how we do Hajj, and then we will take question Q&A inshallah straight away after that. So that will be like a 20-minute inshallah, a interactive session inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Okay, we are back again inshallah. Let's just go through a rundown of Hajj practices inshallah, and we will start off with what we do from here. Obviously we've already talked about the spiritual aspects. Let's talk about the practical aspects now inshallah. Hajj requires that you wear your clothing, which has now come to be known as the ihram clothing. Hajj requires that you wear 2 pieces of white clothing for the men, and for women anything that does not obviously show their body, that is opaque, that does not describe the parts of the body, anything that is decent, and preferably a color that is not a color that is not colorful and will attract the eye. And Hajj requires that you wear these pieces of clothing. So as far as women are concerned, then they wear stitched clothing. As far as men are concerned, then they wear unstitched clothing. Clothing that is not stitched. By stitched clothing, we mean clothing that describes a part of your body. It is, what was the word that we used, brothers? Shaped. Yes, it is not shaped clothing. So even if you have a thobe like this, and you were to wrap it around your body as like a towel, that would be fine as well. That just illustrates to you how people don't understand what stitched means. Stitched means shaped, meaning that you wear the clothing, even if it is shaped, but that you wear it in a shaped fashion, that you wear the thobe in this manner with your hands in your pockets, etc. This is not what it means. This is not what stitched clothing means. Rather, stitched or shaped, meaning that you actually don't wear it, in the fashion in which it is, which actually describes parts of your body. It is for this reason why if you have a thobe and you don't even have enough money to, for example, even buy a piece of chadar, a sheet, a white sheet or whatever, then you can, even if you have, you take your thobe, for example, you can wrap that around your body, just to show you the fiqh of clothing. Obviously, you need two, one for the top and one for the bottom. It doesn't have to be white, but the best color is white, and it can be any other color as well. But my advice to you, obviously, is to make it white. Why? Because if you don't wear white, then you're going to be beaten to death. People are going to think, oh my God, this guy has a black ihram. and this they think, you see, people think that the clothing itself is the ihram. And this is incorrect. It is the intention, as we will come to very, very soon. The clothing is the clothing. It is not the ihram itself. And so therefore, what color should it be? The best is white. Why? Because as Rasulullah said, in khiyara thiyabikum al-biyad, as he said, the best of your clothing is the white ones. So wear the white ones. فَكَفِّنُوا فِيهَا مَوْتَاكُمْ أَلْبِسُوا فِيهَا أَحْيَاكُمْ وَكَفِّنُوا فِيهَا مَوْتَاكُمْ, he said. So let the people who are alive wear it, and let the people who die be shrouded in it, meaning in white clothing. So it doesn't have to be thick, this chadar. It doesn't have to be thin. It is whatever that you use to cover your body. Of course, making sure that it's opaque, so you cannot see the color of your skin through it. And make sure that it is big enough to wrap around your body. You don't wear any undergarments with it. So no undergarments are to be worn, whether it be a t-shirt or anything else. As for sisters, of course, that is not even applicable to them, because for them, whatever normal clothing that they wear is fine as well. There is no headgear, so no caps to be worn. And for sisters, of course, nothing for their face. So therefore, if the sisters wear a niqab, they are not to wear the niqab. And if they wear gloves, they are not to wear gloves. And what do we say therefore? How is she therefore to cover her face when men are around? We say that she, as many of the people do, she actually puts a piece of cloth in her head, on top of her head, and then ties her top, what do you call that? Her top hijab, her top hijab over it, meaning so that it actually holds that piece of cloth in place. With the friction, it actually holds the piece of cloth in place. She doesn't stitch it in, because you don't stitch that in, but you put that piece of clothing, because it falls over your face like that, and then you tie the top towel of the hijab over your head in this manner. And so whenever the men are not around, you lift it up like that. Whenever the men are there, you let it fall. Okay? This is the way it's done. Does it have to be, is there a problem if it actually touches your face? No, this is not a problem, inshallah, according to the vast majority of the ulama. And even if the cloth, when it's over your face, if it touches your face, that is also still fine, inshallah ta'ala. And of course, whenever the men are not around, you lift it up, and whenever the men are there or have a possibility of seeing you, then you put it down. And as for your hands, then you don't wear gloves. However, of course, because you're wearing a big hijab, you can cover your hands through that when the men are there. And of course, when the men are not there, then you can show your hands up to your wrists. Okay? Okay, let's continue. This is as far as the clothing is concerned. Also make sure, brothers and sisters in Islam, that you don't wash your ihram with perfumed material. So you don't wash your ihram with, for example, perfume Tide and all of that. You have Tide here in this country. Yes, don't wash your clothes with these perfumed mixes and all that, washing detergents. Rather, wash them, if you have to, wash them with a detergent that doesn't have any perfume. So there is no perfume on the clothing to begin with. Right? The way you start off wearing your ihram is, for example, first of all, you have a shower. So when you're having a shower, you will have cut your nails, you will have trimmed your mustache, and you will have, for example, removed the hair from your armpits and from your private parts. So you are clean and you're prepared for Umrah. You can use underarm sprays, you can use, what do you call those, deodorants, and you can use antiperspirants as well. That is fine, but try and make sure, because if you won't be using them throughout Hajj, but because you are just preparing for Hajj, now you can put them for now. That is fine. Also, it is from the Sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ to put a lot of perfume, to put copious amounts of perfume, to make you smell like a perfume box, to make yourself smell like a perfume store. In fact, Aisha radiallahu anha, she was crying one day and she was saying, كَأَنِّي أَنظُرُ إِلَى وَبِيسِ الطِّيبِ فِي مَفْرَقِ شَعْرِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. It is as if I am looking at the glistening of the perfume in the partings of the hair of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, it has been reported that they used to put copious amounts of perfume on their body, on Rasul's body, until Ibn Hajar rahimahullah mentions in Fathul Bari that there is no israf fi at-tib, that there is no extravagance as far as perfume is concerned. Meaning that as far as perfume is concerned, then you can put copious amounts. This is from the guidance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, this is for men. As far as women, then it has also been reported that women put perfume for ihram. For ihram, okay? If it is not for ihram, then other than ihram purposes, it is haram. But as far as ihram is concerned, then she may put perfume. Of course, my advice is to put only very minor amounts, because it has not been reported that the women would ever put copious amounts. They would only put minor amounts of perfume, that which is just enough for them, and that which would not cause fitna to men. If it causes fitna to men, my advice is then please stay away from it. If it will not cause fitna, if it's a small amount of perfume, whatever, even underarm spray, etc., that has a little bit of perfume in it, then that is fine. And as I said, it is sunnah that as far as Hajj, as far as ihram is concerned, the men and the women would also put perfume. Okay, and of course, as we know, in normal states, in normal situations, then the women must never put perfume on their body when they're going out. True or not? However, ihram is an exception to this rule. Okay, so we continue on. So people have now had their shower, and they have prepared themselves, and they have made wudu, and now they are ready to do, now they are in their state, now they are ready for their ihram. When they reach the miqat, or let's say you are in the plane and you are now prepared, when you're on the plane and now you are passing over the miqat, and as we know, there are 5 miqats that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has put for the people of this earth. The 5 are, who knows what the 5 miqat are? Does anyone know? Brother, do you know? Do you know, Akhi? Dhul Hulayfa. Okay, Dhul Hulayfa is for who? For people of Medina. Now, Dhul Hulayfa is for the people of Medina. Then what else? Juhfa. Juhfa is for the people of Sham. So Dhul Hulayfa is 405 kilometers away from Medina. Juhfa is 275 kilometers away from Dhul Hulayfa is 405 kilometers away from Mecca. Juhfa is 275 kilometers away from Mecca. Juhfa is for which people? For people of Sham. Were the Muslims in Sham at that time when Rasulullah said this hadith? No. So this hadith therefore is a proof that Muslims will be in Sham. This is a prediction as well, mashallah. Beautiful, isn't it? And so give me something else. What else, brother, do you remember? Come on, give me one more. What is the miqat for people of Yemen? Yalamlam. That's right, Yalamlam. Yalamlam is the miqat for the people of Yemen. It is only 75 kilometers away from Mecca. What is the miqat for the people of Iraq? That Irq is the miqat for the people of Iraq. It is about as well 275 kilometers away from Mecca. Then what is the miqat for the people of Hijaz? Aywa Rahim. What is the miqat for the people of Hijaz? We have That Irq, we have Juhfa, we have Yalamlam, we have Dhul Hulayfa, and then we have Qarn Manazil. Qarn Manazil is the miqat for the people of Hijaz. Rasulullah said in the hadith, and this is also about approximately 200 kilometers away from Mecca. Rasulullah said in the authentic hadith in Bukhari, Hunna lahunna wa liman ata alayhinna min ghayri ahlihinna liman arad al-hajj wal-umrah. Meaning that they are for them, meaning they are for the people that I have made for. And they are also for those people who pass by them, other than the people of who have made this miqat for, such as us, for example. What is the miqat for people in England? It is for whichever miqat we pass over. Liman arad al-hajj wal-umrah, whoever intends hajj wal-umrah. Meaning that if you have in your heart the intention to ever perform hajj wal-umrah, you cannot pass by Makkah or Medina. You cannot pass by a miqat except that you must have ihram from it. So let's say, let me give you this example. You are in Medina. Is Medina outside the miqat or not? Answer the question. Yes, it is. And you want to go to Makkah, but then before that you want to go to where? You want to go Jeddah. You want to spend a couple of days in Jeddah. Right, Rahim? You want to spend a couple of days in Jeddah. Is Jeddah inside the miqat or not? Yes or no? Yes, Jeddah is inside the miqat. Okay? And then you go to Makkah. So you are going to spend 7 days in Jeddah for, whatever, you have business to do. Then after that you're going to go to Makkah. Should you therefore make your ihram from Jeddah or not? From the miqat, or where do you make it from? No, you make it from the miqat because it is impossible. It is not permissible for you to pass by. You already have intention. You'll be doing Hajj after 7 days. So even though you're going to Jeddah, you must go with the ihram. Unless, of course, you have the intention that after being in Jeddah for a couple of days, you will go outside. You will go out of the miqat and then come back again. Okay? Unless if you don't have this, then you must have ihram from the beginning. True or not, guys? And then you go to Mecca and you stay there for your Hajj. Okay? So ihram needs to be. So let's go through what ihram means. Ihram in Islam, and this is the first pillar of Hajj, means that you enter into the state of ihram. And the way you enter into the state of ihram is you loudly say your intention. Is that you what? You loudly say your intention for the Hajj or the Umrah or the act that you're going to do. So you say Labbaik Allahumma Hajj if you're going to be mufrid. Or you say Labbaik Allahumma Hajj wa Umrah if you're going to be qarin. Or you say Labbaik Allahumma Umrah if you're going to be mutamatti'. As we know, Hajj is of 3 types, and I will go through all of them very, very soon. So don't lose me, inshallah. But the miqat is the place in which you make your intention. So when you're in the plane and the pilot tells you now we're passing over the miqat, straight away say Labbaik Allahumma Hajj or Labbaik Allahumma Umrah or Labbaik Allahumma Hajj wa Umrah, whatever is that type of Hajj that you're planning to do. And with that you will have started on your intention and started off for you will have entered into ihram. Of course, by that time you must already be in the ihram clothes. You must already be in the ihram clothes. After you have entered into the state of ihram, 9 things become haram to you. What are they? How many are they? 9. Who remembers what these 9 things are? Whether you have done Hajj, tell me what these 9 things are. Start off with the first one. No, don't. Please, that's the easiest one. Please, let's start with the first one. The first is the hair. You cannot cut the hair. And then what else can't you cut? The nails. You can't trim the nails. You can't cut any of the nails. What else is it? Putting on perfume. You can't put on perfume, obviously. And then give me another one. What is it that you can't put on top of your head? You can't cover your head. And for the sisters, you can't cover the face. So that is 4. Let me deal with these 4 first, and then we'll move on to the next 5. So now people have time to think about what the rest 5 are. Jazakallah khair, mobiles off. Okay, the first one of that is cutting the hair and cutting the nails. The first 2 are cutting the hair and cutting the nails. As far as cutting the hair and cutting the nails are concerned, then then you're not allowed to do that all the way up until the time in which you come out of your ihram, and we'll come to that very, very soon. You're not allowed to cut your hair and your nails. If you do that accidentally, then you're forgiven. If you do that intentionally, 3 hairs or more, or cut the same hair 3 times, or 3 nails or more, or you cut the same nail 3 times, then you must do one of 3 things. What must you do? One of 3 things. We will come to what these 3 things are, 1 minute. And perfume, if you put on perfume accidentally, you are forgiven. However, if you put on perfume intentionally, then you must do one of 3 things. This is the 3 things we'll talk about now. And also your face, and covering, for the women covering the face, and for the men as well covering the face. and for men as well. On top of that, covering the head as well. If they do that intentionally with something that attaches to their heads, which is mulasiq, as we said earlier, which means that attaches to the head or attaches to the face, etc., etc., then there is one of three things, and we'll come to that, what these three things are very, very soon. As far as perfume is concerned, then the hukum regarding perfume is that you don't use perfume in the way it is used. What do I mean by that? Bukhur. If people can please switch their mobiles off, that would be greatly appreciated. Bukhur, as far as bukhur is concerned, what is bukhur? Bukhur is that wood. Bukhur, what is the way in which bukhur is used? You light the fire, you put the coal, and then you put the wood, and then you smell the smoke. So therefore, if you were to do that, then you have fidya. However, if you were to have the bukhur in your hands, there is no fidya. You understand that? Why? Because that type of perfume is used in that type of manner. You understand? Are you with me, Akhtar? You're not with me. We say that the perfume must be used, it's haram to be used in the manner in which that perfume is used. So there are different sorts of perfumes. There's a perfume that is used, that you just apply to your body, spray to your body, or you apply. And so that sort of perfume, if you do that by applying to your body or applying to your hands, then this is haram. There is that type of perfume which you don't apply to your body, but what you do is you put it in the fire and then it blows up smoke, etc. And that is the smoke that fills the ground, etc. This type of, so if you were to do that with the bukhur, then that would also obligate a fidya upon you. Also, for example, if you were to pass by a perfume shop, you must not go in there and smell. That is not allowed. Even to pass by a person who has bukhur and try to even smell it, or for example, someone has perfume and you even try to smell it even, is haram and will obligate a fidya upon you. Remember, you are in a state of ihram. You are in a state of ihram, and it is very, very important. And be careful, because as you know, when you go down the toilets near the haram, the people are selling perfumes, and they will just be, everyone that comes down the elevator, they're just giving a free taste, isn't it? They're giving a free dip on your hands, and you must be careful. Remember that. You cannot put perfume on your body. If you of course forget, then you're forgiven. These four things that I mentioned, covering the head, putting perfume, cutting the nails, and cutting the hair. These four things, if you do forgetfully, you're forgiven. If you do them without knowing the hukum of it, you're also forgiven. But if you do them intentionally, then you have one of three things to do. What are these three things? Guys, forget hunting here. Three things. We have one of three things that you must do when you do them intentionally. What are they? The first is Qurbani, that is offering a sacrifice, a sheep in sacrifice, and that sheep must be is to be sacrificed in Makkah, not anywhere else. So you can't just say, okay, let me just give it to the tsunami relief and let them do the fidya over there. No. You must give it in Makkah. So it must be slaughtered in Makkah, as Allah says, Hadiyan Baligh al-Kaaba. This is a hadi that is in Kaaba, in the sacred precincts. So it must be slaughtered in the sacred precincts of Makkah. So you can either do that, and of course, and the meat distributed to either the poor people there, and if they have enough, then the poor people of the world. Okay, so this is the first thing that you can do. So you can make a choice between three things. The first thing is you either make a sacrifice. The second thing is, what is it, guys? Second thing is fasting. That you fast how many days? 3 days. Right? So you have a choice to either do the sacrifice, which will cost about £50, or you have a choice to feed 6 poor people, or you have a choice to fast 3 days. So if you do these 4 things that we mentioned again, and we mentioned again, Akhtar, what are they? Mention the 4 things. Don't look at the book. Mention the 4 things. Cutting the nails, and then cutting the hair, and then perfume, and wearing the hat or covering the face, or for the women covering the face and the niqab, etc. Okay? If you were to do these 4 things intentionally, forgetfully, and not knowing the hukum, you're forgiven. But intentionally, then you are to do between one of these 3 things that we just mentioned, either to do a sacrifice, or to fast 3 days, or to feed 6 poor people about 3 kgs of dates. About 3 kgs, 2.4 kgs, which is the amount of 4 mud, which is 1 sa'. This is the amount of dates to be given to them, about approximately 2.4 kgs, as Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah mentions in his Mumti', in Sharh al-Mumti', in Sharh al-Zad. Okay, we continue. These are the first 4 things. I would also like to mention something very important here. People make mistakes. That is, people wear face masks to protect themselves from the dust. This is haram, la yajuz. In ihram, you cannot do that because that is covering the face, whether it be for women or for a man. It is not permissible to put a face mask. Okay? As for covering the head, then you can put an umbrella. Why are we permitting an umbrella? Why are we permitting an umbrella but not a cap? Because an umbrella is not attached. لَيْسَ بِمُلَاسِقٍ. It is not attached. Whereas the cap is mulasiq, it is attached. That is why, for example, you can also take shade under a tree, and you can also take shade under, in a tent, etc., etc. All of this is allowed. Or also in the car, for example, because you have the roof covering you. Okay. This is as far as the first 4 things are concerned. Let's move on to the next 5 things. What are they? What is the next 5th thing? Come on, brother. Imran. Brother, please. We will come to the sexual intercourse later on. People are preoccupied about this now. Okay, people are so worried. Allah musta'an, man. Okay, tfaddal. Hunting, exactly. The 5th one is hunting. Okay, I'm going through it systematically so we can talk about what you have to do if you end up doing it. Okay, what is the punishment if you end up falling into it? Alright, the next 5th thing is hunting, meaning that you should not hunt any animal that is hunted for food. Anything else, anything else that is hunted in order to protect yourself from the danger of the animal. Like, for example, if a scorpion was coming, or for example a snake was coming, and you were to hunt that thing down, or for example a bull was charging at you, or for example a lion was charging at you and you were to kill it, then that is forgiven. You have no sin upon you, nothing upon you. But what we're talking about is for you physically going hunting, for you physically going to hunt wild animals, or that which is eaten for food, deer, etc., zebras, whatever, because they're all halal to eat. I don't want to give any more examples. And if you were to do that, or for example you were to kill them accidentally because of your bus ran over them, if for example, as we know, between Makkah and Medina are some sheep, some wild goats, etc. If your bus was to run over them, then all the people will be responsible unless the driver is responsible. So all the people would have to join in to do the fidya. What is the fidya for killing a sheep? What is the fidya for killing going hunting or aiding in hunting? Even Rasulullah said even that you must not point to the hunting animal, telling the hunter to point. You must not even help him by carrying his bows. You must not even help him by even carrying spears for him. True, guys? So nothing of this must be done whilst you are in the state of ihram. What is the punishment for having killed a hunting animal? The punishment is that the people of knowledge must look at the animal that has been killed and find out and compare it to another animal that we offer in sacrifice. So for example, if we have killed a hyena, for example, or we have killed, for example, a wild goat, we say, okay, the equivalent of that is a sheep, for example. True or not? So we say, therefore, a sheep has to be offered in sacrifice. If we end up, for example, killing a wild zebra, for example, then we say the equivalent of that is that we have to offer a cow in sacrifice, for example. Okay? So we do that. So if you can't afford to offer that in sacrifice, you must feed the amount of people that can be fed from this animal, or you must fast the amount of days that you could have fed the number of people. So for example, with a cow, you could have fed 100 people. For example, that means that if you cannot afford to feed that 100 people with that cow, then you must fast 100 days. So regarding hunting, it is very, very tough. And alhamdulillah, I'm just mentioning this as a way of knowing and to know the fiqh of it, because you will never learn about this if you don't learn about it now. Okay, let's move on to something that is more pertinent to us, so more important to us, and that is, mashallah, what our brothers are mentioning. All of the matters to do with women problems, women matters. Okay, the first of the women matters that we must stay away from is anything that leads on to sexual intercourse. Anything that leads on to sexual intercourse, whether that be touching and feeling or foreplay, or even if it be masturbation as well. Okay, even masturbation as well is included. So if someone does this, this is the 6th one. If someone does this, what is the hukum? We will come to that very, very soon. So therefore, what are the remaining 4? Rahim, what are the remaining 4? That is foreplay. Then we have sexual intercourse. Then what else is there? Contracting a marriage. And what is the last thing? Contracting a marriage is, use a different term for it, and that is to get married. And the last thing is a proposal for a marriage even. Okay, so these are the 9 things that are haram. So therefore, as far as marriage is concerned, you cannot propose. Neither can you get married. So therefore, if you have proposed from before ihram, then you cannot say, okay, after our ihram we will get married, or the day of Arafat we'll have our wedding day, mashallah. You cannot do all of that, okay? Or if you see a woman on the plains of Arafat, and you say, mashallah, we're righteous woman, let me go and propose to her. No, you cannot do that, okay? So these two things, if you propose to a woman whilst you're in ihram, remember we're talking about ihram, not hajj, we're talking about ihram, the state of ihram. If you do propose to a woman whilst you're in the state of ihram, then it is haram for you to get married to her. And if you do get married to her, then your nikah is batil. Your nikah or your marriage is false. Okay or not? This is understood. Let's go to the next two, and that is last two, which is the number 8 and number 9. That is anything that will lead on to Jazakallah khair. Can you keep it down please a little bit? The next two is anything that will lead on to sexual intercourse, and the last one is sexual intercourse itself. Anything that leads on to sexual intercourse, if you do it, such as for example touching your wife with pleasure, if you do it whilst you are in a state of ihram, then there is a slaughtering due upon you and nothing else. You cannot choose, no choice, right guys? No choice. The only thing that you can do is slaughter a sheep, and you must offer the sheep as well in Mecca and then feed the poor people. Right guys, this is understood? Right. The last thing, and that is sexual intercourse. If you have sexual intercourse whilst you are still in ihram, doesn't matter in Mecca or Mina, wherever, or Arafat, wherever you are, if you have sexual intercourse whilst you are still in ihram, then your hajj is false. Your hajj is batil, and you must sacrifice a camel instead of a sheep. You must sacrifice a camel, and you must still continue on finish your hajj, and you and your wife should continue on finish of your hajj, this hajj which is not acceptable from you, and come back the next year. You must come back the next year and perform the hajj again. Okay, this is the punishment for having rafath, and Allah has said already, فَمَنْ فَرَضَ فِيهِنَّ الْحَجَّ فَلَا رَفَثَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Then let him not do rafath in hajj.
Can you turn it on again? Go downstairs and sister
Yes. Can you ask this, Thank you, uncle. Okay, let's move on, brothers, into the next point. So these are 9 things that we cannot do in ihram. These are 9 things that we cannot do whilst we are in a state of ihram. I would also like to point out a couple of mistakes that people do, and I've seen that is that they use pins, and that they use, for example, buttons, and they actually put the buttons on the ihram, and they actually just button up the ihram. Also, mashallah, I have seen people with the ihram, when they open up, mashallah, they have wallets, and they have put pockets, or one pocket for their money bag, one for their passport, one for XYZ, mashallah, the Hajj A to Z guides. Mashallah, they open up and they've got everything there. No, this is all not allowed. And putting buttons on your ihram nullifies your, obligates a punishment upon you, and that is that you will, I'm sorry, what is the punishment? The punishment is that you must slaughter a sheep. Okay, if you do not wear stitched clothing, and this was actually the 9th one that we had forgotten to talk about, and that is to wear stitched clothing. If you actually end up wearing stitched clothing in ihram, then you must do a slaughter. Okay, you must do a slaughtering. Okay, this is as far as the 9 things that you must not do whilst you are in your ihram. Okay, the 9 things you cannot do whilst you are in ihram. Let's move on to doing our umrah from beginning to end, because most of the people will be doing Hajj Tamattu. Hajj is of 3 types. There is Hajj Tamattu, which basically is, the basic picture of it is that you do an umrah, and then you come out of your ihram. Thereafter, on the 8th day of Dhul Hijjah, you go back into ihram, do your Hajj, and then after that you come out of your ihram. In Hajj Tamattu, there is a sacrifice to be done. As for the second one is Hajj Qiran. Hajj Qiran is when you have joined Hajj and Umrah together, such that you don't break up your ihram after you do your Umrah. So basically this means, Hajj Qiran means basically that you do your Hajj and one tawaf and one sa'i, and this is enough for your Hajj and Umrah. As you know, when you do Umrah and Hajj, when you're doing Tamattu, you're actually doing how many tawaf and how many sa'is are you doing? Brother, how many doing? You're doing two tawafs and 2 sa'is, isn't it? The tawaf of the Umrah and the tawaf of Hajj, and you're doing 2 sa'is. Of course, you're also doing a last tawaf as well. So you're doing three tawafs and 2 sa'is. Whereas in Tamattu, you're actually doing only 2 tawafs, meaning the 1 tawaf of Hajj, which is enough for your Hajj and Umrah tawaf, and of course the last tawaf, which is the tawaf, the last tawaf that you do to come out. And you do only 1 sa'i as well. And that 1 sa'i is enough for your sa'i of Hajj and your sa'i of Umrah. What do you mean by sa'i? That is the running between Safa and Marwa. Okay, and there is the Hajj Ifrad, which is that you do Hajj and you only do 1 tawaf and 1 sa'i, and this is the Hajj that you do. So you only do Hajj. The difference between tawaf al-Ifrad and tawaf al-Tamattu and Hajj al-Ifrad and Hajj al-Tamattu is sacrifice. So in Tamattu you do a sacrifice, whereas in Hajj Ifrad you don't do a sacrifice. If you have your sacrificial beast with you, then you must do Qiran. Okay? If you have your sacrificial beast with you, you must do Qiran. If you don't have it, then you have a choice to do either of the 3. You have a choice to do Tamattu or Qiran or Ifrad. The best of them, the ulama have differed. Which of them is the best? The Hanafis say it's the Qiran. The Shafi'is and the Hanbalis say it is the Tamattu. And this is truly the best Hajj. The best Hajj is what? It is the Tamattu. Why? Because Tamattu basically combines all of the nusuk together. It is a Umrah and also a Hajj as well, and this is the best Hajj. As we know, Rasulullah ﷺ told the companions when they had come to Makkah, he said, if I did not have the sacrificial animal with me, I would have changed my intention into Tamattu as well. And so he told the people who didn't have a sacrificial animal with them to actually change their intention into Tamattu, well, even though they had originally intended something else. Okay, can I change my intention? If I have started my intention with Tamattu, can I say, now let me go back to Qiran? Can I do that? The answer is, if you started off with one intention, you can go to another intention that is higher than it. But you cannot go from a higher intention to that which is lower. So if you have intended, for example, you're on the plane, and you've intended that you're going to do Qiran, for example, which is Hajj and Umrah, Labbaik Allahumma Hajj wa Umrah, isn't it? Hajj and Umrah together. If you are in the plane and you've intended to do Qiran, then you can't just say, oh look, I can't be bothered doing the sacrifice, I don't have the money for the sacrifice, let me just do a Qiran, let me just do an Ifrad. The answer is no, you cannot do that, because you have obligated more upon you, so you must do that more. True or not? Guys, this is clear? Inshallah. Okay. My advice to pregnant women and to old men and old women, people who are weak and tired, etc., people who will have difficulty doing extra tawaf and extra sa'i, my advice to them is to do Qiran. Why? Why do we say this? Because in Qiran we only have 1 tawaf and 1 sa'i. You know, obviously tawaf for Hajj and tawaf for sa'i, and then the last tawaf, which is a tawaf what's the tawaf called? Tawaf al-Wada'. Thank you for that. Tawaf al-Wada', and then you go back. So basically you only have 2 tawafs really to do only. And the only thing that you do is also you also do a sacrifice. And that is easy upon them. People will give £50. That is easy. True or not? Yes? However, you are getting the ajr of Hajj and Umrah, even though you're only doing 1 tawaf and 1 sa'i, that is making up for 2 tawafs and 2 sa'is. Okay? And that is my advice to these people, to actually just do Qiran, and you get the ajr of Hajj and Umrah as well. Okay. However, of course, if you feel you're up to it, this is a journey of a lifetime. Let me just do the best I can. Then go ahead, by all means, do your Hajj Tamattu. Okay. By all means, then do your Hajj Tamattu. So you are in the plane and you have already made the intention at the miqat. If you have not made the intention at the miqat, and then suddenly, as I remember, in one of the years, about 100 kilometers away from Mecca, people came to me. I was in the front of the bus. People came to me from the back and said, have we passed the miqat yet? Have we passed the miqat yet? And says, SubhanAllah, we were just in the miqat 300 kilometers back, and now you're asking me, have we passed the miqat yet? We had told people, remember, to make intention from the miqat. Don't pass the miqat without the intention. You will have so many problems, etc., etc. They did not listen. Unfortunately, they didn't pay attention. They didn't attend the class like you guys are doing. And so unfortunately what happened was that they all had to do fidyas. They all had to do sacrifices. Because the qaida in as far as Hajj is concerned, if there is an obligation, if there is a thing that is wajib, if you don't do a thing that is wajib in Hajj, then you must do dam. You must sacrifice a sheep. What are the wajib things? Wajib things, for example, doing your intention from miqat. For example, staying in Arafat until sunset. For example, staying in Muzdalifah until the morning for those people who are able. For example, guys, anyone remember? Okay, for example, stoning. Stoning is another wajib. For example, shaving the head is another wajib. For example, sacrifice is another wajib. For example, stoning every single day. Stoning every single day is another wajib. For example, of the 3 days that you stay in Mina. For example, staying in Mina itself is another wajib for those people who are not feeding or responsible over the Hujjaj. So for all these sort of people, this is a wajib. And also, for example, the tawaf al-wada', which is the last tawaf that anyone does, this is also another wajib. If you fail to do these things which I just mentioned to you, which are wajib, then you must do a sacrifice. What must you do? You must do a sacrifice. And this is very important. Don't run away. I've got questions for you still. Okay. This is as far as some of the mistakes happen when people actually cross the miqat without finding out. So now that you have landed in Jeddah, Jeddah is not the miqat for everybody. Jeddah is only the miqat for those people who are from the people of Jeddah, who are, from Jeddah. So the reason being because Jeddah is inside the miqat. So if you are actually inside the miqat, your miqat is your house. But if you're outside the miqat, then your miqat is whenever you pass by one of these miqats. Okay, brothers? Right. So, if you've landed in Jeddah, then now you'll be going off to Makkah, inshallah, perhaps, or you'll be going off to Medina. If you're going off to Medina, obviously, you will not have your ihram now, because you will be actually going out of Medina. Going to Medina, Medina is just outside the miqat of Dhul Hulayfa, which is 5 kilometers from the center of Medina. If you are now landed in Jeddah, now you will go off to Makkah. When you go off to Makkah, you will obviously perform your Umrah. You are, of course, reciting your talbiyah all the way. You'll be reciting your talbiyah all the way up until you see the Kaaba, up until you enter into the mosque of the Kaaba. It is advisable before you start your tawaf, before you start your Umrah, that you have a shower or you have a wudu. It's better to have a shower. This is something which people have forgotten. And also it is better to enter into the Kaaba through the gate of As-Salam. What is the gate of Salam? The gate of Salam is between Safa and Marwa. It's halfway between Safa and Marwa. There is a gate, and that's called the Bab al-Salam. That is the place from which Rasulullah entered into the mosque. Okay, note something, brothers and sisters in Islam. When you enter into the mosque, you don't pray your Tahiyyat al-Masjid. Rather, you start off straight away with your Umrah. All this time, brothers and sisters in Islam, remember, you did not show your arm. You didn't show your right arm. You had them all around you, wrapped all around you. Only now, as soon as you start your tawaf, you start showing your right arm. And this is a mistake which many people do. When they actually pray, you see the Hujjaj, they already have they're showing their right arm. This is very incorrect. And so you see them praying with the right arm showing. And this is another, this is quite mistaken. This is incorrect. Whilst you are praying, you must close your both arms. Rasulullah said, لا يصلين أحدكم ليس على عاتقه منه شيء. ليس على عاتقه منه شيء. Meaning that, let not any one of you pray, any one of his prayers, and there is nothing on his shoulders, meaning that his shoulders are not covered. So you must have your shoulders covered. This is something which people make mistakes. Showing the shoulders is only at one time. Which is that time? Only in on the first tawaf, when you're actually in your ihram clothes, isn't it? And only through the duration of the tawaf. Right after the tawaf, you close it off. Right after the tawaf, you close your ihram off, and so you don't show your right arm. Is that clear, guys? Of course, and this is only for men as well. You start off with the Hajar Aswad, which is a black stone. There are lines for that. You start off from that area. You say Allahu Akbar, point to the black stone, because you will not be able to touch it because of the great rush. Say Allahu Akbar, point towards it, turn towards it, saying Allahu Akbar or Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, as you wish. Both of them have been reported from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar from Ibn Umar, and Allahu Akbar from Ibn Abbas, if I remember correctly. So you start off from the Hajar Aswad, and then you go 7 circuits, the first 3 of which you will be running. You will be actually running if you have the ability to, if you have the the chance to. Okay, so you'll be basically jogging through the first 3. When you're between Rukn Yamani and Hajar Aswad, basically between the 3rd corner and the beginning of your tawaf. Okay, the corner in which the Hajar Aswad is. This is called the Rukn Yamani and the Hajar Aswad. In that place, you say, what is the dua that you make? Akhtar, what is it? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. This is the dua that you make. So therefore, throughout the tawaf, you will be making your own dua. You could have a Quran with you. You could be reading from the Quran. That is fine. You could have your Hisn Muslim and making dua from that. That is fine as well. But I advise you to avoid all these books that say dua for tawaf. You know, special duas that people have written up, which are not from the Sunnah, etc., for tawaf. Nothing like that. You can read your Quran. Umar radiallahu anhu used to read the Quran. He used to sit on his donkey while his donkey was moving around. And tawaf is something that you can do as well on a riding beast as well. So Umar would do the tawaf with the riding beast, and he would be reading the Quran. Amazing. And so he would finish off his tawaf. After the tawaf, you may try and see if you can reach the Hajar Aswad, so that you can put your body between the Hajar Aswad and the gate of the Kaaba, and then put your body there and make dua. But of course, don't try it, you're going to hurt people. This is what Rasulullah did. This is the Sunnah of Rasulullah, that he put his body between the Hajar Aswad and the gate of the Kaaba. So you see the small place? He will put his body there with his hands on the Kaaba and make dua. Okay? Thereafter, of course, if you won't be able to do that, you finish your tawaf. When you finish your tawaf, you don't say the salam anymore. So you try and find a place in the Haram, whether it be next to the Maqam Ibrahim or somewhere else in the Kaaba, in the mosque, wherever you can find a place. Making sure, brothers and sisters in Islam, making sure that people will not cross in front of you. As you know, it's very, very difficult. Once I was praying, and there was a woman who was trying to get past me. I think she was from Iran or something. She was big and strong. And wallahi, I was praying and trying to prevent her from crossing in front of me, because as you know, a woman would break your salah, and she would listen to me, and wallahi, she kept on insisting until she grabbed my head like this and threw me off whilst I was praying. Allahu musta'an. Anyway, please try and make sure. And the stories we can tell, the stories that we can tell about Hajj are amazing. The chronicles of a Hajji. Okay, so you pray your 2 rak'ah prayer, which is at the Maqam Ibrahim. In the first rak'ah, you recite your Surah Fatiha, and then you recite your Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun. In the second rak'ah, you recite your Fatiha, and then Qul Huwallahu Ahad. This is the Sunnah. Obviously, you say something else, this is fine. Thereafter, you move off and you drink your Zamzam water, and you drink standing. This is Sunnah of Rasulullah, that you drink standing, facing the Kaaba, and then after that, after you're drinking a little bit left in the cup, you would pour the rest on the top of your head, and thereafter you would point to the Kaaba, and then you would make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as much dua as you wish. Thereafter, you move on and start your sa'i. Remember you have closed your right arm now. There is no iqtida anymore. No more showing of the right arm. So now you start off with which side? You start off with the Safa. So you start off with the dua, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah, etc., the dua. And then upon each mountain of Safa and Marwa, you make the following dua. Many duas have been reported, but the way in which you make the dua is, you say Allahu Akbar, and thereafter you say takbir, and thereafter you make the dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to make. There are many duas reported, and you can go back to Hisn Muslim for that. You make these dua, make your takbir, make your dua, and then after that you raise your hands and you make dua to Allah as much dua as you wish. Then you start off from the beginning, again from the duas that you make, and then raise your hands and make your dua again. And then again, you say the duas that have been reported from Rasulullah, and then raise your hands and make your dua always facing the Kaaba. Right? Thereafter you move off and you start going off to Marwa. So you move off from Safa, going off to Marwa, making sure that you do not hurt anybody on the way, and then making sure that you are telling all those Hujjaj who are still showing their arms, brother, close them. Okay, because Brother Thowfeek says it's not permissible. Okay, and you're going past now on Safa Marwa, and when you pass the green light, obviously you're running between them, and you go off to Marwa. When you go off to Marwa, the only difference between dua in Safa and Marwa is that you don't recite that verse, which is Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. All the other duas, and in the manner that you did, you must recite as well. You mustn't, but it's not a must, but obviously it's a sunnah for you to do that upon every mountain. If you're not able to, then just keep passing by. Just say Allahu Akbar 3 times and then pass by. If you're not able to, if it's true rush, or for example you're too tired, or you're with your mother and father and they're old people, they can't stand there for so long, etc., just pass by. Just say Allahu Akbar 3 times and pass by. Alhamdulillah, that is fine as well. This is not obligatory. So you do this 7 times. So between Safa and Marwa, you go once, and then back from Marwa to Safa is once. Don't make the mistake of going twice and thinking that is actually going up and down and thinking that is one. No, rather going down is 1, and then coming up is 1. So that's 2. Until you actually end up, you started in Safa, you end up where? You end up in Marwa. No, this, brothers and sisters in Islam, that Safa and Marwa is outside the haram. It is considered to be outside the haram. That is why it is permissible for menstruating women to do Safa and Marwa. However, it is not permissible for menstruating women to do Tawaf. Meaning that the masjid is actually inside the haram. Okay, whereas Safa and Marwa by ijma' of the ulama are outside the haram. So my advice to you, if you follow the opinion that only the mosque of the Kaaba has the ajr of 100,000, that if you wish to pray extra prayers and you want to get the ajr of 100,000, don't pray in Safa Marwa. Remember that. But pray only where? Only inside after pass on from Safa Marwa. This is a point many people don't know. Okay? I will come to women's affairs, what if they have bleeding, etc., etc., very, very soon, inshallah. So sisters, don't despair, inshallah. We'll come to all these issues very, very closely, very, very soon, inshallah. Thereafter, after you finished in Marwa, you either go off for a shave. Shave your head, I mean. So, shave your head. That is, of course, if your hair will grow back quickly, or, for example, you trim your head. And of course, after that, you are out of your ihram. You are out of your ihram. Okay? This is, of course, for those people who are doing tamattu. Remember, they're doing umrah first. Meaning you're out of ihram, meaning after that you can go off and have your shower, etc. For the women, approximately 1 or 2 centimeters is the amount of hair that is to be cut. But the way you do it, basically you grab all the hair and then grab it like that from the bottom and then just cut it. And many women like to do that because they like to cut the split ends. But cut 2 centimeters, and this is the way hair is to be cut. It is better to have shave your head rather than cutting, trimming. But however, as I said, you need to have some hair left on your head for when you'll be shaving for Hajj. So it's better than if you're going to be doing that to actually, if your hair doesn't grow back quickly enough within the couple of days that you're going to be staying, to just have a trim. Okay, going through the mechanical trim or leaving some hair on your body. Don't leaving some hair on your head. Okay, don't make the mistake of what people do, and that is that they get these scissors and they just cut from here, cut from here, cut from here. This is not permissible. This is the opinion of the Shafi'i scholars who allow it. However, the most correct opinion, which is the opinion of the Hanbali and of the Hanafi scholars, is that this is not permissible. What is obligatory is that you must shave off from every part of your body, for every part of your hair. For every part of your hair, of your head. Okay, every part has to be trimmed. So you can't just trim from the right and trim from the left and say, mashallah, that's fine. All those brothers who have long hair, because they want to keep their hair, for example, they can't just say, trim a little bit like that, and that's fine. No, this is not permissible. Also, remember, don't trim part of the hair and leave the other part big, as people do. They, for example, trim on the front and leave the back very long, or the other way. They trim all in the back and they leave the front falling all on the faces, just to be cool, basically. Now, all of this is not permitted in Islam. This is called qaza, as Rasulullah said. This is called qaza, and Rasulullah have prohibited qaza, which is to have unevenly shaped hair, in which you actually trim some part of your body more than others. Some part of your hair a lot, visibly, tremendously a lot, whereas leaving others untrimmed. Or as people do these days, mushroom haircuts. Have you guys seen mushroom haircuts? What's a mushroom haircut? It's so that when when you're walking, your hair is bouncing like a mushroom. This is what they say, a mushroom haircut, which is basically that you take the hair and then you shave everything underneath, and then you cut everything underneath so that your hair is like a cap on your head and it bounces when you walk. Amazing, isn't it? Things that people come up with these days. Okay, this is as far as Umrah is concerned. Let me just quickly mention what the sisters should do, inshallah, and some sisters' issues, and then we'll move on to Hajj, inshallah, and we'll be quick with Hajj, inshallah, because we've already mentioned the tawaf and sa'i bits of Hajj. Okay, as far as the sisters are concerned, if they are worried for their period, they can take pills in order to prolong the period. Otherwise, if they don't take pills and they wish to just let nature take its course, then I'm sure that many sisters may be worried, because, as you know, hormonal imbalances are not uncommon in Hajj, because of the great stresses and because of the changed atmosphere, the changed settings, etc., and the stress that is associated with Hajj. It may be that you have a period. If you have a period, if you have blood coming out, you must ask the question: is this blood coming out in a time in which I normally have my period? If it is not, then this is not to be considered your period. This is defective bleeding. Okay, this is istihada, defective bleeding. I have tapes on this. I have tapes on the fiqh of menstruation, and inshallah you can try and get that, and you will understand that very, very deeply. If you are afraid, or if actually the blood does coincide to be with your period, with your days of period, then you must consider that to be your period. Notice one important point. Your period has nothing to do with the ihram. You could be in a state of janaba from the period, but you're still in your ihram. So the two things don't have a similarity. Okay, guys, do you understand that? So period is one thing, ihram is something else. Ihram is something you put yourself into. Period is something you have no control over. Okay, so you can also have a period and also be in ihram, as Aisha radiallahu anha was. And so what is the sunnah when you have a period? It is better when you have a period to actually change your intention from tamattu to qiran, as Aisha radiallahu anha was advised by Rasulullah to do. Why? Because then she will not have to do the tawaf now. She will not have to do her sa'i now. She can delay it for later, isn't it? So she could just remain in her ihram until at a later time. So this is advisable for those sisters who suddenly, before they start their tawaf, etc., they find that they had a period. Okay. Also, brothers and sisters in Islam, as for those sisters who insist that she still wants to do the umrah, then the question is, can she do her sa'i before her tawaf? Can she do her sa'i before her tawaf for the umrah? The answer is no. The umrah, everything has to be done in order. Even though the hajj, we know we can perform the things in out of order. Like we can do the sacrifice before our tawaf, and then after that do the slaughter the animal, etc., and then shave the head. In different orders. However, regarding umrah, then it cannot be done outside order. So you can't start off with your sa'i and then finish up with your umrah later on. No, you cannot do that. You must always continue on with your tawaf and then with your sa'i. One important point is, if you need to rest, and as you know, women sometimes, because of the walking, and because tawaf may take more than an hour, sometimes 2 hours used to take me. If you want to rest, then it's permissible for you to rest, but you start off from the same place. If the adhan comes, then you pray your, if a prayer time comes, then you say your prayers, but you start off from the same place, or it is advisable to start from the beginning of that particular round, Okay? If you end up having a period after you finish your tawaf, before you start your sa'i, then what is the answer? What's the hukum? Fine. Why is it fine? Because Safa and Marwa are outside the haram. Beautiful. This is the fiqh, okay? So it's outside of the haram, so you can do, so the menstruating women can even sit there. You can say, wife, go to Safa and Marwa and sit there. I will be back. And things like that, that's perfectly fine. She is not allowed to come into the mosque, but she can sit in Safa and Marwa area because that is outside of the haram, even though the same construction is under the same roof. But that is of no consequence. Okay, guys? Let's move on to now, when we are now living in Mecca, staying in Mecca. You can go off to Medina if you wish, but on your way back, you will have to have ihram from the miqat. Don't come through the miqat and you're intending Hajj or Umrah without ihram. Okay, remember that this is a point of great importance. In Medina, obviously, you go with the intention of praying in the Prophet's mosque. You try and pray there as many prayers as you can. Let's move on to the 8th. And there's not much to mention about Medina, but then you can visit other mosques such as that of the Quba, Masjid al-Quba, and of course if you go from your hotel or from your place of dwelling to the Masjid al-Quba with your wudu, with the intention of praying 2 rak'ah there, then you get the ajr of Umrah. You get the ajr of having performed Umrah. So let's go on to the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. That is the day that we start our Hajj. On the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, after Adhan, after the Fajr, after we prayed Fajr, we have a shower. We again do all those things that we did, which is clean ourselves, etc., cut our nails, whatever we need to do. And we put perfume on our body, and we put the ihram clothes back on, perhaps a new set of ihram clothes, and we say our talbiyah, our intention, and that is labbaik Allahumma Hajj. Okay, this is, remember brothers, we're talking about those people who are doing tamattu. As for those people who are doing qiran, then they would already have been in ihram already, because they have not broken the ihram yet. And the people of ifrad as well, those who are doing ifrad, which is a singular hajj, they will also be in the ihram up until now even, isn't it? They haven't broken the ihram. And so now you have had a shower, you're refreshed, you've said your ihram, you've said your niyyah for hajj, and now you start on with the talbiyah. You will not stop your talbiyah except when you throw the first stone on the Jamrat al-Aqaba, which is when? Which is on which day, brother Imran? On the 10th day. You want to have a drink? You sure? You with us? Alright. have to pick on somebody. Okay, Rahim, you're next. Okay. Eight. Try and reach Mina by mid-noon. Try and reach Mina by mid-noon. This is the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you enter Mina, remember, you can also put your ihram on in Mina as well. If you want to delay it, you can put on your ihram in Mina. Why? What is the reason behind that? Because Mina is still within the haram. Remember. Okay? Mina is still within the haram. And that is why you can still put on your ihram within the haram, isn't it? You're still putting your ihram on still within the haram. Even Muzdalifah, if you were there, you could still put on your ihram. Remember, this is the fiqh, okay? This is fiqh. So we stay in Mina now the whole day. What about our prayers? How do we say our prayers? Do we join them? The answer is no. You don't join them. You pray them at their appointed times because you're not moving on. Remember, we don't have any difficulty. We're not moving on. This is the sunnah of Rasulullah to only join when we're actually in the process of moving on. Right? But when he was actually stable and in a place and set up his camp, then he didn't have a need to actually join. And he would pray at the appointed times, but shortened because he's a traveler. Okay, so he would shorten, so therefore you pray every 4 rak'ah into 2s, every 3 as 3s, and every 2s as 2s. But the 4 rak'ah you always pray as 2s. After after you've passed that whole day, and you'll be preparing yourself for the next day, which is the real day of Hajj, you will make yourself, you make your way to Arafat. If you try and go in the middle of the night, that may also be advisable given the practical circumstances these days of the roads being blocked, and these Saudis, they just block the roads wherever they want, and so your stuff gets, your hamla, your group may just be blocked outside of Arafat. And once we were blocked outside Arafat until almost 3 o'clock. The first time I ever did Hajj with the group that I just mentioned before. So you make your way up to Arafat. As soon as you've gone to Arafat, your Arafat obligation is complete. So that means that you have to be inside Arafat even for a minute second, for your second pillar of Hajj to be complete. Okay? That is that you need to be Arafat even for a minute second. So even if you set your camp up just outside Arafat, make sure that at least you have moved into Arafat and moved out at least. Okay? And this is important because when you will see a lot of people being outside Arafat, on the gates, on the mountains of Arafat, and I wish they knew the fiqh of Hajj, but they need to come inside Arafat even for a minute second. So you are in Arafat now, and you will be staying there waiting for the Dhuhr prayer. At the time of Dhuhr prayer, 1 adhan, and you'll pray Dhuhr 2 rak'ah, and then you give the Iqamah again, and then pray your Asr prayer. Thereafter, you will start your ibadah. You will start your du'as, and you will be making dua all the way up until when, guys? Up until sunset. And you'll be making dua. It is better to do it sitting. It is better to do it sitting on your riding beast. So if you have your camel, then do it on your camel. Or if you have your cars, then do it on your cars. Or if on your buses, then that is fine as well. And as remembered, please don't waste your time searching for food and trying to go here or there and trying to go and meet that sheikh and this sheikh. This is not the time for it. This is the time to beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. This is the time to beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for ajr, for reward. You do that all the way up until sunset. All the way until sunset. After the sun has set, then slowly and quietly and peacefully you make your way into Muzdalifah. So you go and get into your buses quietly and peacefully without praying there. You don't pray your Maghrib prayer. You don't pray your Maghrib prayer in Arafat. You go off to Muzdalifah. When you reach Muzdalifah, then over there you give 1 adhan, and then you pray your Maghrib, Iqamah, then Maghrib, and then you give the second Iqamah, and then you pray your Isha prayers. After Isha prayers, obviously you might be hungry, so you can eat something, and then thereafter please go to sleep. Of course, make sure you pray your witr as well, because Rasulullah never missed his witr. And this is the most correct opinion, is that he did pray his witr even in Muzdalifah. If you have sick people with you, you might want to leave with them early. You might want to leave with them early in order to get the stoning done quickly. So you can after the middle of the night, which is approximately 12 o'clock in Saudi Arabia. Middle of the night is decided in the following way. You look at the time in which the sun set and the time of Fajr, then you note how many hours there is. Then you take the half part, which is, let's say, 5 hours. Then you add from the time of the sunset, add 5. That is the middle of the night. So in Islamic, middle of the night may not be 12 o'clock. It may be 11 o'clock. It may be 11:30. Notice that, okay? So only after the middle of the night you pass off. You can take your family and go off to do the stoning and go off to Mina. If you're able, what I mean by able meaning you're physically able and you're strong, then you must not move off from Muzdalifah before sunrise. You must not move off from Muzdalifah before sunrise, but rather you should stay in Muzdalifah until sunrise. This is the best way. In the morning, you get up, when it's sunrise, you make your wudu, you give your adhan, you give your qama, you pray. Thereafter, spend your time making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making dhikr of Allah, praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until the sun is about to rise. Until when? Until it is about to rise. Then quickly make your way out of Muzdalifah. So get onto your buses, start walking, whatever you have to do, and make your way out of Muzdalifah. And when you go off from Muzdalifah, you will go back to Mina. My advice is not to go stoning at that point, because you will die. I'm not joking, okay? It is a nightmare. It is a nightmare. My advice is to go around about noontime. At noontime, it is still rush. There's a lot of rush still. Of course, it's the first day of Hajj. People are still in that mood. But still, it is easy. It is easy. You might be able to come close. The way you take your stones, you may pick up your stones in Muzdalifah if you wish. But remember, don't make the mistake of washing them with water. Some people, what they do is they actually wash their stones with water, or they say they wash their stones with Zamzam water, and this is incorrect. This is against the hadith, the guidance of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And don't try and pick stones for every day. Try and pick just enough for you. Try and pick 7 or pick 8. One extra one. And this is the amount of stones you pick up from Muzdalifah. Make sure you don't pick up hardened cement or hardened concrete or hardened mud. It must be actual stones, okay? If it's concrete, because of the gravel and all that, don't pick up gravel as well. Pick up only stones, proper stones. You have to be careful of that. And it's a pea size. Pea size is very, very small. It's about how many? It's even half a centimeter. This is the size of the pea. Don't go for bigger ones. You will be sinful if you end up hitting someone. And you will also be sinful for going against the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So pick only very, very small stones. Thereafter, you have these stones with you. You go to Mina. Go there. You cannot take your ihram off as yet. Remember, you still have to do your stoning. At 12 o'clock, my advice is 12 o'clock, you can try something else. This is all left up to experience. You go off. My advice is also to do it on the top floor, not the bottom one. Bottom one is very, very difficult because you have people coming for every direction. But on the top one, the army and the guards, they actually keep a flow, making sure that they're actually going straight instead of coming back. Okay, that is a good thing about the top one. But the bottom one, because people are all everywhere, it is a chaos. So go to the top one, then with your stones, take your stones. Don't do the mistake of throwing all of them in one go. This will only suffice for only one throw. Rather, what you should do is take one stone, say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, or Allahu Akbar. Both of them are correct. With Makkah to the left and Arafat or Muzdalifah to the right. This is the way that you should stone. This is the Sunnah. If you cannot do so, my advice really is to do it the other way. So if this is Makkah, this is the stone. If this is the stone and Makkah is here and Muzdalifah is here, you'll be coming from this direction, right? When you're coming from this direction, you'll be passing the first one. The first stone, second stone, the third stone is a big one where you need to stone. My advice is to actually come this way and come from the back, because what they do generally is that they go straight to the stone. They go straight to the stone. They see the stone and say, let's kill the shaitan. They run for the stone, and so the great crowds will be on this side. So my advice is to actually keep on going until they go from the back, and then suddenly from the back make a dash for it from the back and stone, and then move off. This is my advice. If you fear that your women or your children who are doing Hajj with you will have difficulty, then yes, you can storm on their behalf. But I think, if you go at 12 o'clock or even 2 or 3 o'clock, whatever, give them a chance. This is an experience. Don't say, look, mom, just sit back, I'll do it for you. Or your wife, no, I'll do it for you. No. Let them experience it. You can take them with you. If you see that it's going to be crowded, then tell them, look, wait under this signboard for me. Wait under there. I will stone and come back to you. If you see there's a great rush and there's a danger of her being hurt, right? But if not, then let her experience it. This is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has obligated Hajj on her in its entirety, isn't it? And so let her enjoy it as well. It is only when you fear that she will have difficulty, then you do the stoning on her behalf. Thereafter, after you have stoned, you go off. You will have stopped the talbiyah after the first stone, isn't it? Remember, after the first stone, you are out of your ihram. After the first stone, you're out of your ihram. This is the most correct opinion amongst the ulama. Amongst the ulama, there are those who say you need to do at least 2 of the 4 things. What are the 4 things that we do on that day? Rahim, what are they? Rami, stoning, shaving, slaughtering, tawaf, and sa'i as well. Yeah. So these are the things that we do on that day. You can do them in any order. From the ulama, majority of ulama say you need to do at least one of these, you need to do at least 3 of these 5 things. Okay? And only after that you come out of the ihram. The most correct opinion amongst the ulama is that as soon as you've done your stoning, you come out of the ihram. Why? Because there are more than 5 authentic hadith of Rasulullah in Tirmidhi and Abi Dawud and others that show that Rasulullah that Aisha radiallahu anha put perfume on Rasulullah after he had done the stoning. And how would he have put perfume if he was still in ihram? So therefore it shows that you come out of the ihram as soon as you've done your stoning. After you've done your stoning, therefore, so you can therefore cover your head, you can do whatever, and so therefore you can go and shave your head. You try and find a good barber. Don't go to these amateur ones. You know, there'll be a lot of amateur ones trying to make some money on that day, but rather go to those barbers and you'll find them under the bridge. They have professional, but they're experienced people, experienced barbers, inshallah. You know, how can you tell experienced one from a non-experienced one? An experienced one, inshallah, won't cut you up too bad. But he'll still cut you up. You know, he'll still cut you up and there'll be a lot of blood still. But inshallah, make sure that it is, inshallah, not too much. And so, when you go under the bridge, it's about 15 riyals or so. Have your hair cut, and thereafter you can go back to your tent in Mina, your camp. Have a shower, put on your thobes, alhamdulillah. Put on perfume on your body, alhamdulillah. Now you can rest for a little bit. Rest a little bit. If you wish, you can make your tawaf and sa'i tomorrow if you wish. So you rest that day if you wish. That's also fine. Or if you want, then you can go off on that same day, go off to Makkah. So you go off to Makkah and then you do your tawaf. You do your tawaf over there without the running and without any iftiba. Obviously, you don't have to tear off your arm. You don't have to tear off your thobe to show your arm. This is not required because there is no iftiba in the second in this tawaf. This is your tawaf of your Hajj, and this is your 3rd pillar. Remember, this is your 3rd pillar. What are the pillars of Hajj? 4 are the pillars of Hajj. The first is ihram. What does ihram mean? It means it is the intention, the state that you put yourself in. Okay, the second is Arafat. The third is the tawaf, and the 4th is the sa'i. Great. So remember, after you've done your stoning, you've come out of ihram. Once you have come out of ihram, all the things are halal except for the matters pertaining to women. So therefore, you still can't touch your wife. You still can't sleep with her, and you still can't get married or marry anyone else off. Okay? And this will become halal all the way after you have done your sa'i. This will become halal, meaning sleeping with your wife, etc. will become halal only after you've done your sa'i. So be careful when you tawaf with your wife. Remember, you still are in a state of not being permitted to touch her with desire. Remember that. So if you have your wife and you probably do that. Most people fall into haram because of that. They have their wife, and because they are actually almost pressed against each other because of the great struggle in tawaf, you might end up having some problems and having desires and shahwa, and this will cause problems. So please stay away from this. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You still cannot have pleasure from each other as yet. Okay, so you do your tawaf, and after your tawaf you can take a rest, pray your 2 rak'ah, because for every 7 circuits there is a 2 rak'ah, as Aisha radiallahu anha said. Pray your 2 rak'ah. If you want to drink water, go ahead, drink water. You can also drink water throughout the tawaf. That is not a problem. You can also speak to each other throughout the tawaf, answer your mobile phones. That's also fine. And then thereafter do your sa'i. Do your sa'i. My advice is to do the sa'i and the tawaf from the top floor, because that's nice. It's the wind blowing on your face, and it's nice and cool. Otherwise, when you're doing it on the ground floor, you'll actually practically have to raise your face up to the top to breathe, because it is so hot and it is so crowded, and you will be always trying to stop people from hitting you or trying to prevent other people. So it will actually disturb your own tawaf and sa'i. So you finish your tawaf and sa'i now. It may be even advisable for you to put a stretcher for your wife, for a wheelchair for your wife, and for you to wear shoes, your comfortable runners, to do your sa'i. This is fine. You can wear your runners and do your tawaf and sa'i on the top floor. And you'll have the occasional do-gooder, and he wants to come and tell you, A'udhu Billah, what are you doing? You can't wear your shoes in the haram. But this is incorrect. It is permissible, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you for your advice. You can just tell them off nicely, inshallah. Thank you for your advice, but I think it is permissible. Or just say, look, I've got some blisters or something like that. Make up something, and you'll be fine, inshallah. So you finish off your sa'i. After you finish your sa'i, then you must come back to Mina before 12 o'clock. Before the middle of the night, whatever middle of the night is. Okay, you must come back to Mina before middle of the night and spend the night in Mina. So you spend the night. So what do we mean by spending the night? We mean spending most of the night. Most of the night. So if you have spent more than half the night in Mina, then that is fine. If you spend less than half the night, then that is when we will say you must do a sacrifice. Alright guys? If you're prevented because of the great, and you have made precautions, you've taken precautions to come back to Mina quickly, however you're prevented because of the great traffic problems, then you're forgiven as well, inshallah. You're forgiven, inshallah, because you made it and you were forgiven because you're forgiven because of the great rush which is beyond your control. Okay? But don't say, for example, it's only 10 minutes to go and I have to quickly get into the bus, and then only 10 minutes to go, and then I find the bus. In that way, you're not truly taking precautions to come back to Mina before half the night. And so, if you do that, then you will have to do a sacrifice. Come back to Mina, spend the night in Mina. In the morning, afternoon, do your stoning. Afternoon, my advice is to go after Asr. After Asr is good. There is not too much crowd. Go to the first stone, throw your 7 stones. Obviously, before that, you'll be collecting stones in Mina. The first stone, you will do your first stoning. Thereafter, pass on a little bit before the second one, and then make dua. Second one, do your stoning, pass on a little bit, make dua, turn into Makkah, make dua. And then the third one, you do your stoning, and then you're finished. Okay, you don't make dua, you make istighfar. This is a great advice, and that is that you make dua within your ibadah, not after your ibadah. So just like in your prayer as well, you make dua whilst you're praying, not after your prayer. Okay, continuing on. You finished your stoning. That whole day passes. When you are in Mina, throughout these days, you're praising Allah, you're reading a lot of Quran. Remember, فَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَذِكْرِكُمْ آبَاءَكُمْ أَوْ أَشَدَّ ذِكْرًا. Remember that you should praise Allah like the kuffar used to, like the disbelievers used to praise, like the mushrikeen used to praise their forefathers, in that same fervent desire, in the same fervent manner. أو أشد, or even more than that. Please don't spend your times by standing in lines in order to get al-bayk, for example, or in order to get some food, for example. Don't spend your time for this. You have come here for a holy purpose, for a noble purpose, and so spend your time in that. Spend your time in ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reading books, gaining knowledge, meeting religious people, righteous people, etc., etc. This is the time to do it. Okay? Once you have done that, once you have been in Arafat, once you've been in Mina, and you have spend that night, the next day, the second day, you do your stoning. Then if you wish to leave, you must leave before midnight, before sunset. If you forget something, you can come back after sunset, remember. But you must leave before sunset if you want to leave on that day. So on the second day of Mina, if you want to leave, third day of Mina, second day of Mina, if you want to leave, as Allah says in the Quran, فَمَنْ تَعَجَّلَ فِي يَوْمَيْنِ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ وَمَنْ تَأَخَّرَ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ لِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and for he who wishes to hurry it up in 2 days, then there is no sin upon him, and also on the one who wants to stay for 3 days, there is no sin upon him, for he who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so therefore, if you passed off, therefore remember, if you want to leave on that day before staying an extra day, the third day, you must leave before sunset. If you've left Mina and gone to Makkah now if you can stay there, you can stay there in Makkah for as long as you wish. You may stay there in Makkah for another 7 days according to what your group has planned. However, after that, before you are about to leave, before an hour or two before you're about to leave your hotel, for example, or you're going to go off, make your tawaf al-akhir, your last tawaf, which is your tawaf al-wada'. This is your tawaf al-wada', which is called the farewell tawaf. So you make your tawaf al-wada' as well in the same manner that you have done your tawaf of Hajj. And thereafter, after you've done that, you can pray your 2 rak'ahs of the tawaf if you wish. If you don't want to, then just come out, because the tawaf, the 2 rak'ahs only a sunnah. Thereafter, you can come back, take your luggage, and then leave Makkah straight away. With that, you have performed and finished your ihram. With that, you performed and you finished your Hajj, and inshallah, after that, of course, upon you is only to make istighfar to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make tawbah to Allah. May Allah forgive any problems that you have had before, any naqs that you have had, any problems that you have had, etc., etc. May Allah forgive them. Also, of course, remember, if you have done a Hajj which required a slaughtering, make sure you have given the money for that beforehand, so that your slaughtering was done in the first day or the second or the third day, basically in the 3 days in which you are in Mina. So it must have been done whilst you are still there. Inshallah, they will have done it for you. With that, alhamdulillah, we've finished our lesson on Hajj, inshallah, and I think we have taken everything that we can take. If there's any questions, I don't know if I have left any place for questions, but if there's any questions, then please go ahead and ask, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I will start with the brothers. Imam.
When you say about the tawaf, the first three you have to run around. If you've got your family, how do you do that then?
Okay, the brother is asking that if you are in your tawaf, in the first tawaf, obviously when you're doing tawaf al-qudum or you're doing tawaf of the umrah, then you are running around in the first three circuits. How will you do it if you have a family? Obviously, don't run around when you have a family. You have an excuse. You have an excuse to not run around in this case, inshallah. Okay, anyone else with a question? For the okay, the brother is asking regarding sutra in the masjid in the haram. Obviously, a sutra, according to the most correct opinion, is obligatory, whether it be in the haram or not the haram. And as for people who say that there is no sutra in the haram, then this is a very, very baseless opinion. Really, there is no proof for any opinion that says that okay, that there is a sutra for other than the haram. In any place there is a sutra, whereas in the haram there is no sutra because it's not possible. No, it is possible, inshallah. Take your precautions. Go behind the pillar, inshallah. Take your precautions. There is no need for example, you could go close to the pillar and do your citation, and then when you have to bow, you can take one step back and then bow. So you're always protecting yourself in front of you, yeah? So inshallah, take precautions, inshallah, for that as much as possible. Fear Allah as much as possible, inshallah. Yes. Go ahead, actually.
A lady, if she was to
cross by in front of you,
and it's so hard
to stop her.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, the brother is asking if a lady was to cross by in front of you and you can't touch her, you can't stop her. Well, the answer is yes, of course. You can't stop her, you can't Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Okay, obviously you can't stop her, you can't touch her. My advice is, of course, the hadith states that you should stop them and try and stop them. And then it says, if not, then fight them. Over here, one person must not understand it to mean physically fighting them. Okay, because it's not permissible to fight a Muslim, is it? It's not permissible to fight. So what Rasul means by that is basically stopping them with force. This is as far as you can do. If they still continue on, then this is beyond your control, and your salah is still correct, because it is these people who are sinful, and you did your best, you tried your best, and so you're not obliged, because they are the ones who are rushing forth and not listening and not trying to look after people's sutra. Okay, so in this case, my advice is, if you wish to be fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you may try and repeat the prayer if you want. But my advice is just to take precautions, inshallah, so that doesn't happen. Don't pray in the women's section, for example. Pray in the men's section. Let me take... Chill, brother. Let me take a question from the sisters. It says here, while in ihram, are women allowed to wear the face veil when men are around, or is the face veil totally prohibited? Please explain detail. Okay, the face veil, and this is something which people don't understand. The face veil, which is the niqab, and which is a niqab that is covering the face with a slit open for the eyes, this is not permitted to wear in Hajj. It is not permitted for you to wear this in Hajj, just like also you're not allowed to wear the face mask, which is the mask for the the dust guard, as we call it, right? The dust guard as well, because it also covers part of the face. You are not allowed to cover your face at all whilst you are awake, or whilst you are sleeping, or you are awake in the state of ihram, for the man and for the women. Okay, for the man and for the women, they are not allowed to cover their face. So if the woman is wearing the hijab, she wears the hijab, the scarf around her face, all around, making sure that the face is open and visible. If she wants, when the men are there, when the men is coming, she may try and cover her face up with her hands, for example, or she may cover her face up with her hands, or she may cover her face with her clothing, for example, or she may just throw a towel on top of her face, for example. Okay, another piece of clothing, or as a way in which the women in Saudi do it, they actually, before they even tie the towel around their face, okay, which is their top, what is that called? The top scarf. Before they even tie the top scarf, they actually put a piece of clothing there, and then tie the scarf tightly so that they actually hold the piece of clothing tightly, isn't it, guys? And then therefore, whenever the men come, whenever the men are not there, lift it up, open. And whenever the men are there, just put it on top of their face. Okay? Sorry, no, it must not have any slits on that thing, because then it becomes like a burqa. It becomes like a niqab, and this is against the legislations of the Sharia as far as the face is concerned for the women in ihram must not be done. And if the woman still persists on doing that because she's just wants to fear Allah subhanallah, and then there is a fidya due upon her. There is a sacrifice due upon her, or of course, as we remember what we said, either a sacrifice or feeding 6 poor people, or fasting 3 days. Thank you. Okay, it says here, how much hair is a woman supposed to cut off? You cut off about 1 to 2 centimeters of hair. 1 to 2 centimeters, which is about, the amount of your finger, small finger. Okay. How much hair is a woman supposed to cut off? Are you supposed to cut off a strand of hair, or the whole amount of hair? No, the whole amount. You just take the whole hair, gather all the hair as you can in a bundle, and then just cut off. Are women allowed to remove the face veil while she is with other women? Yes, she is. Not just is she allowed to, she must. Because the face veil, of course, when we're talking about the face veil, we're not talking about the niqab. Please remember, we're not talking about the niqab, we're talking about just a piece of clothing, just a piece of opaque clothing. Must she take it off while she's with other women? The answer is yes. Or is she prohibited from removing it at all times? No. She must remove it whenever she is able to. There's no men there. And other times she can put it down when the men are there. So you only put it down when you fear other men will look at you. Okay, if a woman has hair braids, must she open her hair before making ghusl? The answer is that it is not obligatory when you have long amounts of hair to actually open up the braids, but it is advisable so that you can try and get hair to the bottom of your scalp if possible. But when you have long hair, it is not obligatory for you to open up your braids, everything, and make sure all the hair is wet, because the hair is not truly part of your body. It is munfasil, it is detached from your body, because it has no hayat, has no life, just like the nail. And that is why it has the hukum of munfasil. It has the hukum of being something that is detached from your body. And that is why, whilst even in ghusl, it is not obligatory to wet all the hair. Rather, you wet the scalp. And if there is long hair, the woman has long hair, it is not obligatory to wet it all in ghusl. Remember that. Okay, because it is munfasil, it is detached from your body. Okay, guys, this is an important point. Okay, brothers, questions. Tafaddal akhi, you had a question. Go ahead.
With regards to ihram, you're not meant to have it scented beforehand in any way.
Yes, the brother is saying that with respect to the ihram, the men must not have it scented at all in any way. No, the men or the women must not have it scented in any way. So please, if the woman is going to wear ihram or a piece of clothing, which is going to be her ihram clothing basically, in which she will be doing a Hajj and Umrah, then she must not wash it in any perfume soaps, okay, or perfume detergents, nothing at all. Get a non-perfume detergent to wash those clothes if you need to wash them. Okay. However, of course, when you have perfume on your body, then you'll be wearing the clothes. Of course, the perfume on your body will rub off onto the clothes, and that is fine, inshallah. But not the other way around, in which you already have perfume on the clothes. As well, remember, brothers, when you put perfume on your body, don't put, as people do as well, they put perfume on their ihram as well, to perfume the body and also the ihram. No, this is not permissible. It is only on the body only. Allah knows best. Yes, any questions?
Just follow up on that. If something's already been washed, I say my ihram's already been washed.
Yes, okay, the question is if you have already been washed and it's still perfumed. If it is already been washed, before you wear the ihram on, just make sure that the perfume has left. If the perfume hasn't left, then you must not wear the ihram. Okay? It's clear, inshallah. Any questions from here? Tfaddal, akhi.
About Ramil Jamarat, how many stones do we have to throw?
Yeah, Ramil Jamarat, every Jamarat is 7 stones. At every stoning, you throw 7 stones. We say Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, or Allahu Akbar, and every throw, you throw 1 stone. So you throw 7 times. You try and make sure that the stone goes into the circle, and it goes into the circle, because as long as it goes into the circle, it will end up hitting the stone. So you don't have to therefore really make sure that you actually aiming perfectly.
Oh, it says 21 stones.
Yeah, 21 stones exactly. That's 7 for each. That is on the days other than the day of Nahr, or other than the day of Eid. On the other days, yes, 7 stones. Each jamara, 3 jamaras, there will be 7 stones in each jamara. Tfaddal, akhi.
Sheikh, some are of the opinion that making tawaf on the other levels of the Kaaba is not permissible. What's your...
The question is that some ulama say that making tawaf on the other levels is not permissible. This is an incorrect opinion. The reason why it is an incorrect opinion is because the qaida in Islam, the general principle in Islam, says that anyone who owns the earth owns the sky above it as well. This is the general principle in Islam. That is why if the ground is something which is, so therefore the sky above the ground takes the hukum of the ground. So therefore the sky above the Kaaba takes the hukum of the Kaaba, and the sky above the and the space above the sky and space above the haram takes the hukum of the haram as well, and the sky and space above the graveyard takes the hukum of the graveyard as well. Okay, so can someone say, for example, there's a graveyard on the bottom floor, I'm praying on the 10th floor, can I pray on it? Answer is what? No, why? Because it takes the same hukum. Beautiful. Okay? Clear. Okay. Faddal akhi.
With regards to having an ihram, say for example you've got an itch, and because of that itch some hair.
Yes, if you have an itch and because of the itch hair falls out, then that is of course nothing wrong with it. And of course when you put your hand through your beard and hair comes out, then that is already dead hair. It is not that you're actually physically pulling the hair off. No, if you were to physically pull the hair off, then that would break your that is what would make a fidya obligatory on you. But obviously you're just putting your hands through your beard and the hair comes out, then that is already dead hair. Nothing on you if you do that. Tfaddal akhi.
What about if you wear money belts and then you can arms?
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Money belts is fine. There's nothing wrong with it because it doesn't describe your body. It's just a small belt that you wear on your hand. You can even wear these hajjis these days, mashallah. You can even wear your slacks, your bags. You know those school bags? Yeah, that's fine. What do you call them?
Rucksacks.
Rucksacks, okay. The brother has a very strong accent. Rucksacks, you can wear those as well, not a problem. Or you can carry your bags on your shoulders, or you can wear the belt around your stomach. That is not a problem, inshallah. Okay, I just wanted to describe the shoes, and many people don't understand the shoes. The shoes is an important point. If you can imagine my feet, okay, this is my feet. Okay, this is my legs and this is my feet. You can wear anything that comes up to the ankles. Anything above the ankles you must cut off. It is better for you to cut off actually, even though my opinion is that it is permissible, but really try and cut it off. This is the majority of ulama have this opinion that you should cut off anything above the ankles. Okay, so what type of footwear should you wear? You can wear sandals. You can wear shoes as long as they are below and cut off at the ankle point, then this is permissible. Some ulama are of the opinion that you have to have your front part bare. This has no basis for it. This has no basis for it, and this is incorrect opinion. Rather, you can wear even things that cover up your front of your feet as well, top of your feet as well. Okay, brothers? This is clear, inshallah. Faddal.
With regards to wearing watches, glasses and sunglasses.
Okay, as far as wearing glasses and sunglasses, that's fine, inshallah. That's protection for the eyes, and this is permissible, inshallah. But as far as watches, sunglasses, and what else? And normal glasses, and these are all fine, inshallah. You can also wear watches because these are things that do not describe your body, inshallah. Also, you can wear if you have a bandage or you have a broken arm, you can have plastered hands and all that. This is nothing wrong with all of that, inshallah. This is all fine in your ihram. Tfaddal akhi. Is there any sisters have any questions? I'm sure they will have questions, and if the sisters have questions which pertain to their specific matters, such as periods and this and that, then I can answer that, inshallah. If they want me to answer that privately, I can answer that as well. In a few minutes I will come down, inshallah, and if they have questions, just please let us know. I can just stand at the door and answer their private questions, inshallah. Yes, akhi.
One of the issues, when you go to Hajj or Umrah, is the issue of the beggars.
The beggars.
The beggars, the fact that the nuisance that it can be.
Yes.
Do give one real to one beggar, you'll get another maybe 10, 15 Hajj as well. You mentioned about if a beggar comes to you and he asks you some money, you should give him something.
Yes.
But what if you see them lined up?
Okay, the principle in Islam. Okay, they don't actually ask you.
Yeah.
No, if they actually end up looking at you and you actually end up hearing their plea for it, answer it, akhi. I mean, subhanAllah, sadaqah to a rich person is permissible, isn't it? Yes or no? We can give gifts to a king, can't we? Do we get ajr for it? Yes, alhamdulillah. I know, Jazakallah khair. Mentality of professional beggars, I know they earn 8,000 riyals an hour, and mashallah, they're very, very rich, and etc. etc. This is the gold mine, Hajj time.
We have in the West.
And the mentality as well that we have is that, wallahi, you know what? I can't answer this question. I cannot answer this question except by saying that please just give it. And but of course, if you are in danger of being swarmed by them, then of course, preserving your life is a goal and purpose of Sharia. Then don't be swarmed by them, inshallah. But like I said, give one, run away from them. Okay, but give one and then go away, inshallah. And this way you will not be saying no to them, and the same way you're preserving your life as well. Inshallah. Anyone else got a question here? Mafi? As'ila? Faddal?
One of the things that a lot of parties seem to worry that in the shop, is that if they buy Qurbani vouchers, but they worry about the sequence that you don't know which day your Qurbani will.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Thank you for that. The uncle was mentioning that some Hujjaj worry about the sequence in which the slaughtering will be done. They just buy the coupon and then they don't know which way. Of course, as you know, the ulama have different madhahibs, different opinions. The Hanafi madhab obviously says you have to do things in tartib, in its proper sequence, and they are the ones who actually insist on trying to know which day the sacrifice will be done. And so my advice to them is truly that this is that really the authentic hadith show that really after you do the last jamrah, after you do your first jamrah, which is on the 10th day, you are out of ihram. Really, this is what I advise them with. And as for those who insist on trying to find out the day, that this is nearly impossible, because they don't even write your name down. They don't even say which day you're going to be doing it, isn't it, akhi? Yeah, subhanAllah, I don't know what they want to do. They don't even, and trust me, even those private contractors as well, trust me, they are even the same. They are even worse sometimes. They just all hurry up and kill sheep. I've seen, subhanAllah, when I was there about 6 years ago, the first time I went there to the slaughterhouse, they were even, subhanAllah, these people, just to show you how sometimes even they have very little knowledge, they were putting 2 or 3 sheep on top of each other and slaughtering one go. Subhanallah. And anyway, Allah musta'an, what can you say? Father, welcome salam.
You were saying when you go for the tawaf, you don't have to do the tahiyyat or masjid, you just go for the tawaf
straight away.
But now during your stay there, every time you go in the Masjid Haram,
yes,
you don't have to do tahiyyat al masjid at all?
Jazakallah khair. Okay. Whenever the brother is asking that, I mentioned that when we do tawaf, we don't do our tahiyyat al masjid. My answer to you is that tawaf is a tahiyyat al masjid. So whenever you want to do tawaf, you don't start off with the tahiyyat al masjid. But whenever you go to the mosque just for anything, just to visit the mosque, or just to drink the Zamzam water, or just to pray for any prayer, then you can pray your tahiyyat al masjid, inshallah. So any time that you might go to the mosque for tawaf, then you don't pray tahiyyat al masjid, inshallah. Fadal akhi.
I don't know if anybody has asked this question or not. It's about the Qurbani. As we a community Muslim living in this country, if we give money for the Qurbani of Palestine or Fallujah or Iraq, or
yes,
do we have to slaughter here? Or
yes, the brother is asking the question that if we give a Qurbani for those people who are not doing Hajj, do we have to give if we give a Qurbani to elsewhere in any other Muslim country, do we have to give it here? No, the answer is no. It is only one Qurbani due upon you, and that is from the head of the house. So for example, you and your wife and your children, one Qurbani due upon you. If it is you and your head and your father and mother, you are responsible for your father and mother, try and do 2 as well, 2 for you and on behalf of your family and on behalf of your father. But of course, that is of course provided that your father has money earning. If he doesn't have any money that he's earning, then he comes under your hukum as well, under your family ruling. Okay, so therefore you give one Qurbani, whether it be in any different land. This is fine. You don't have to do a Qurbani here. You don't have to. No. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. Tafadal akhi. Sorry, akhi, go ahead.
About when we make niyyah for Hajj, for Umrah, sorry, do we have to say it loudly or do we have to?
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Regarding intention for Hajj and Umrah, there are only two places in the Quran and Sunnah that say that you should say the intention loudly. Okay, in all other ibadat, the intention is said quietly. Okay, intention is all in the heart, you don't even say it. And only 2 ibadat we say it loudly. Does anyone know what that is? One is obviously Hajj and Umrah, and the other one is when you sacrifice, slaughter. So only when you're slaughtering and when you do Hajj and Umrah, Rasulullah was reported to have said them loudly. And my advice is to do extra acts of sacrifice, because Rasulullah offered how many, guys? 100 camels. 100 camels, meaning what? 700 sheep. And how many did he have to offer? He only had to offer 1/7 of one camel. But he offered how many? 100 camels in sacrifice. 63 of which he killed himself, and 37 of which Ali killed. 63 of which he killed himself as a sign that he will die after 63 years of living. Allah knows best. Okay, anyone else?
If somebody does that shoes, actually, can they wear somebody else's shoes?
Okay, good question. Very practical question, isn't it? And subhanAllah, I don't know how many pairs of shoes I've lost in my 6 years of Medina. How many times I've come back to my home and my wife look at me. So it happened again, didn't it? Allah Mustaan. Okay, if that happens, no, you must not take anyone else's shoes. You must not take anyone else's shoes. You must come back and buy your own shoes. And my advice to you is, whenever your shoes are stolen, just say, okay, that's just a charity for him. It's a gift for the person who took it. Okay? But you must not take any shoes. And in fact, in Mecca, it is haram to take luqata. Luqata means lost and found stuff. So even you cannot pick up the luqata in Mecca. If you find a piece of money on the ground, 500 riyals, 500 pounds, whatever, you don't have 500 pounds, but a huge bundle of notes even, you're passing by in Mecca and you find something there, you must not pick it up. Okay? Because this is the hukum of the luqata of Mecca. Luqata means the lost and found material of Mecca. It is haram to pick it up. No, you cannot even pick it up. You tell the authorities it is there. Don't do it. Tell the authorities it is there. The authorities will take care of it. It is their responsibility, not yours. You must not pick it up. Rasulullah, a man came to him and he had found a piece of clothing. Rasulullah got very angry at him that he had actually picked up the luqata. As you know, otherwise people would have stepped on it and it might have become dirty, etc., or would have been wasted, isn't it? But Makkah is a special place. It is different from all other places. Makkah is different from all other places. You cannot pick up the luqata, the lost and found material of Makkah. Unless, of course, you are asked by the authorities to do so, in which case you are an agent, a kafil for the authorities, in which case then you can, inshallah. Okay, anyone else has a question? We will stop, inshallah, in about a couple of minutes.
Should we clarify the issue of the pins again? Because a lot of people do use pins.
Yes, pins. The issue is, the brother is asking regarding the issue of pins. You must not use pins to button up your ihram. Women can use pins, remember, because women are not obligated, are not obliged by, to not wear stitched clothes. She can wear stitched clothes, but it is men who must not use pins, because then it makes you resemble stitched clothing. Okay, so you must not approach anything that may make you resemble stitched clothing. No pins at all, not even one pin. Jazakallah khair, not even a single pin, not even a single button that you must put on your ihram. Nothing but a piece of white clothing or whatever, or black if you want, and then wrap it around your body, inshallah. Okay, brothers, I did Hajj 6 times. I never used I never even used a belt. Come on, guys, it works. It's possible. Okay, it's possible. You don't need pins, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Okay, we finished, inshallah. We have any questions left? Last question?
Some people, they send their Qurbani to Islamic relief who can the stuff.
Yes, okay. Regarding the Qurbani, Jazakallah khair. Regarding the Qurbani, my advice is to give you money now, so that they can prepare for your Qurbani from now. As you know, it's a disaster zone over there. All the cows and animals and everything has been removed. So they actually have to physically bring the stuff. So if you give you money now, they will only sacrifice after Eid. Remember, don't worry, they will sacrifice only after Eid, because they have a special fund for that. So give now, inshallah, so they can prepare for that, inshallah. Yes, of course, because you can give the money now, because they're your kafil, they are your agent. So you're giving your agent now money, and they will do it later on, inshallah. Okay, that is fine, inshallah, not a problem. جزاك الله خير سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
أشهد أن لا